last day.
Mission First Tactical is the official tactical accessories provider for the Talking Lead podcast and the Leadhead Brigade. Use the code LEADHEAD for an exclusive 20% discount on all orders.
All right, lead heads. Welcome back to another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. I'm your host, Lefty, bringing you all the lead education since 2012. We do it right. We don't mess around. We don't fluff our stories, our guests, or anything else. It's all fly by the seat of your pants, ladies and gentlemen. And joining me this episode is the Indiana Jones of unclaimed storage unit treasure hunting, the culinary pit master, the reason for the explosion in my pants, ladies and gentlemen, the barista of Bang, Ton Jones.
What's up, brother? You're killing me.
How'd you like that?
Oh, it's going to be a long day.
Oh. So Ton and I had an episode last week, so you guys tuned in for that. We gave away the awesome Air Force Air Guns Escape, loaded out with scope, bipod, and we had Tyler Patner with Pyramid Air joining us for that episode. It's a fun episode. Been getting a lot of good feedback on that. Everybody's like, it's like old school style where we just sit around and we shoot the shit kind of.
Yeah.
Show. So those are my favorite shows.
Those are great.
Fireside chats.
Right. So that other voice you hear, ladies and gentlemen, is our very special guest. If you follow us on the social medias, I made a post asking for your questions, and we got a lot of questions. It is a former Army Ranger, sniper. He's now a very accomplished precision shooter, does competitions all around the country, has his own competition that he sets up each year. We're going to talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Gilliland. Jim, welcome in.
How you guys doing?
Doing great, other than this stupid camera shape that we have going on here. So,
yeah, I tend to have a black cloud around me when it comes to electronics, so I'm going to take the blame for it.
Well, Ton can tell you that every time we log on and do a show, some kind of new problem.
Something new.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Ton's fault.
There's a plethora of clusterfuckery going on.
Yeah. That's like the subtitle of our show, Talking Lead, Subfuckery.
Right.
There's always some kind of something going on. But I apologize for the camera view. For those who are watching, we have circles for some reason. I don't know. StreamYard has done some sort of upgrade to their system, and
it's the NSA is
I blame Jim. Look at Jim's
saying.
circle. Jim doesn't even get a full circle.
No, right? I'm like cut off right here.
You know why he doesn't have a full circle, Ton? It's because he's on one of those gay iPhones.
Yeah, in one of them commie phones.
That's my wife's fault. I did the Samsung thing forever, and then the whole family had iPhones, and everybody wanted to talk about, oh, we need to FaceTime. We need to be able to FaceTime. So,
I can actually 100% vouch for him on this. The infamous Melissa Gilliland. I am calling you out. We will get to this part, and she's going on the train.
Okay.
When we get there, she's getting tossed.
We originally were supposed to have her on the show. That was our special guest. We wanted Melissa on, but she couldn't do it because of other obligations. And then Ton's like, well, we could probably get Jim to do it.
That's kind of the way things work now. So I specifically introduced myself as Melissa Gilliland's husband. That's kind of the way it works now. So we were, and it came from a match. We were shooting a match in Colorado years ago. It's been 7-8 years ago now, something like that. But anyway, it was a big match or whatever, and we were hanging out over there at it. And I drove out there a day before or whatever, and then she was going to fly in. I was going to pick her up, so I took her guns out and I put them on the range and made check zeros, check speeds, and all that before the match because she didn't have time to do it. You know, she works for a living, like some people do. Got a real job, and so while I was there, you know, it was shooting whatever else, and I asked if I could borrow something. It was I don't remember what it was, a bag or something that the guy next to me had or whatever. And then when I got done, I handed it back to him. I stood up, and he goes, "What was your name again?" And I said, "Jim Gilliland." He's like, Gilliland. You're Melissa Gilliland's husband. I was like, yes, I am. And then from that point on, it was like across the board. You know, it's like, oh,
Well, I
you're
mean,
that Melissa Gilliland. Yeah, you're Missy Gilliland's husband. I was like, yep,
that's a
that's who
nice
I
claim to
am.
fame to have, though, right? You know.
Oh no, I am totally okay with it. I mean, she is an incredible woman. So,
Well,
um,
give her our best. If she wants to hop on and say a few words, she's more than welcome to.
yeah,
It
she's
sounds
supposed to be flying through here in a bit. So she's at work this morning trying to clean up a few things there, and then coming by here loading up her truck, and then she's heading to Tennessee for the Gap Grind this weekend. So she's got a big pro-am match she's shooting this
I'm in
weekend.
Tennessee. What part of Tennessee is that?
In Finger, it's over in the southwest corner.
He said
I think
finger.
I've actually heard of Finger, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's K&M. K&M's the name of the range up there. Very, very nice place. Shannon Kay's the guy that owns it, and he is very OCD and domineering when it comes to the maintenance of his range and the use of it. So, but I mean, it is a golf course that people shoot on.
I'm pulling it up now. Finger, Tennessee.
Yep.
It's McNairy County. Okay, I got you. So
Yeah.
Finger,
So
Tennessee is
that
close
bottom
to
left corner.
Henderson, Jackson. Okay, so it's going west towards the armpit
Yeah.
of
South of Memphis. Yep.
right. That's like the cutoff point of when Tennessee just gets nasty.
Weird.
So Jackson, yeah, Jackson is like the last safe spot before you
That's right.
continue toward Memphis there. But yeah, that's down close to Bolivar and that area. I know where that's at. Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool. So this guy is it a public range or
No, not that I'm pretty sure it's not. He does have memberships there, and he does a lot of contract instruction there for different organizations or whatnot. But you could get a hold of him. His wife Julie Kay runs most of the stuff out there. So yeah, you guys can get a hold of them. It's a really, really nice place.
okay. I haven't heard of that one, so I'll have to check into that. Always looking for a cool range to go to. Do
Sure.
they have like long range? They got like over 1,000.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how big their place is up there now. It's a couple hundred acres or more, maybe. But it sprawls a bit. I mean, it's laid out very well. He's always been good at laying out, you know, using land to its full advantage. But there's plenty of 1,200 and in shots that you can take over there. I mean,
What's the name of the range again?
He's got a KD side, a known distance side that goes to 1,200 yards.
Nice. And what's the name of the range?
It's K&M Shooting Solutions, I think, or K&M Precision, something like that. I don't remember but it's K&M.
Let's see if I can
Finger McNairy.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
California, Michigan. Yeah, we'll find it.
It is K&M Precision Shooting.
Union.
K&M Precision. Now I can't even talk. Precision Shooting is the name of the place. K&M Shooting Complex. It's at 774 Connor Road, Finger, Tennessee, 38334.
Okay. Well, I was gonna give him a plug, but stupid internet. Oh well.
It.
So there you go. So Melissa's gonna be in my neck of the woods. That's cool. And
Yeah.
you guys just didn't you just have a big competition?
Yeah. So um, at Alta Shooting Solutions in Baker, Florida, that's where I run all of my matches out of. And we have 5 one-day matches down there. And the last match we had was we're back with doing some stuff with the PRS, Precision Rifle Series or whatever. So our last match was a one of the regional matches for that. So if anybody came in, they could qualify, get points for the PRS one day matches. But we run the way the series runs is we start in January, February, and then we have 4 regular season matches throughout the year. We try to skip um, the end of June, all of July, all of August, and the first part of September. We kind of leave those out because it's really just it's brutal down there to try to shoot. The panhandle of Florida during the middle of the summer or whatnot.
Yeah.
But the way I typically do those matches is I'll start off with larger targets and bigger time constraints, and then build the matches that get a little harder. Understanding that they're supposed to be one-day matches, they're supposed to be very fun, and they're supposed to be training matches. So you can come to these matches, you can get introduced to it, you can kind of learn how the sport works, learn how the match flows happen or whatever. So if you're building up to a 2 day match, or if you're just trying to get into it and you don't want to, drown in it, that's what these matches are designed for. And then, so we just had our 4th match of the year this past weekend. So we had 100-second par times. The longest shot was probably 1,050 yards, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but there were 10 stages we set up, so 90. I think it was 96 round course of fire. Um, so it was a good intermediate match as far as one-day matches go, and then our finale match will be in November. So and you don't have to shoot the other matches to come shoot this one down at Alta Shooting Solutions, but you to be in the running for we give away a rifle at the end of the year. We
Oh,
essentially
nice.
raffle it off. So we pick if you've shot at least 2 regular um, the matches during the year and the finale, then your name goes into the drawing or whatever, and then we'll draw, and then Alta Shooting Solutions donates a rifle, a custom built rifle. So uh,
Now, in these competitions, are there prizes for like the different stages, the different
so it depends. So
first, second,
specifically for
third place?
these, so we do have we're kind of unique on the day match to where we do give out. We have certificates for proof barrels. So proof came in this year, and they gave us barrel certs for each one of our matches we have. So we give 3 or 4 barrel certs out at each one of our matches, and then at the finale we give even more than those out. And typically, I do them. Like I said, it's supposed to be a lot of fun, but typically, the winner doesn't necessarily get anything other than some good hardware to take home, some bragging rights. But we try to make the certificates fun. Who drove the furthest to get there usually gets a certificate, and
Yeah.
who had the worst day. And then normally what I'll do is, or what I've done in the past several times, is there's a half off certificate with the free barrel certificates. And I'll just ask who the cheapest bastard in the room is, and then whoever raises their hand first gets the half off. You
That's
know,
nice.
so I'm not gonna give them a barrel, but if they're gonna be a cheap bastard, I'll give them half off of a barrel. So that'll make them
I
feel a
like
little
the
better
rubber
about themselves.
chickens.
Yeah. So last year, all the winners got rubber chickens or yellow cat toys, and we'd give off little army guy for top meal guy, and I mean, it's just a lot of fun. And one of the things in precision rifle shooting over the last several years, it's gotten super competitive, and of course, competition can bring out the worst in some people, and it's just
Yeah.
it's some of it has gotten really petty, and I think a lot of guys have backed out of it. The majority of the people that Melissa and I started shooting with 13 years ago, are just not shooting anymore because you know whether it's the sport's just outgrown them or they've gotten older and changed their what they like to do or whatnot, or how they want to spend their time. I know a couple of guys are grandfathers now, and they're, the whole world can burn down as long as their grandkids are with them. So
Peepaw takes
yeah,
priority over everything else when you become
it
a grandfather.
does. It does. So my whole intent and purpose for bringing these matches back to Altus is just to have a really fun match, to get guys together, to make stages
Yeah.
challenging enough for the guys that are really in it and are trying to practice for the 2-day national level matches. They get something out of it, but make it fun enough for the dude that hits 20 targets out of 96 still has a good time doing it, and gets to learn a little bit. And that's one of the things we talk about is, when you come to these matches, no matter what match you go to, you don't, you shouldn't necessarily look at yourself toward the highest winner. He's like, well, I was 50th out of 100 or whatever. So unless you're perfectly in, viable status to get that top trophy or whatever, if you're the, upper middle pack and down, then you really should be shooting against yourself and how you shot last time, as opposed to, where you're finishing in the pack. And that will tell you how you're progressing. That will tell you how your training regiment's going. That'll tell you how your equipment's working for you and how your mental game is going.
Yeah.
Because if you can beat you last time, you're eventually going to get number one. So you just got to keep beating yourself, at each one of these matches and learning how to shoot your game better.
Sure.
It's like seasoning a cast iron skillet. Use it that few times and it builds up in there. Our product, CLP Plus, is a bio-based, non-toxic, complete gun care. Your cleaning time will be reduced by over 50%. I like to say it's a clean shoot for it to fully remove whatever product you've had on there before. It's like seasoning a cast iron skillet. So all I like to do is you'll field strip it like this, go piece by piece. Basically all I do, I'll take the nylon brush into the paste and you start covering. Come back, clean each piece, and then even on the handles, on the outside and on the inside. With our product, you wipe it all off. You don't leave any on there. From grains and all, stick it in. It's safe on all metals, plastics, composites, wood, rubber, leather. I just use a nylon brush and then a bore jag with one of our pre-saturated patches. You put it in, swipe, coming back, you can see what it's pulled out. And this was a brand new firearm. With our product, your malfunctions from carbon buildup are virtually eliminated because carbon will not be building up. There's nothing to stick to. And all of our product is USA source and made. Grab the microfiber cloth and back and you'll wipe it off. And you'll wipe all the product off now. There you go. It's that simple.
Seal One is a proud sponsor of the Talking Lead podcast and the Leadhead Brigade. Use the code LEADHEAD for a 25% off discount.
And I want to talk more about the precision shooting, and we want to learn more about you and your background. I mean, you're known for more than obviously just being Melissa's husband, and a lot of us are aware of that. So we want to talk about that too. But
Sure.
Jim, first we have this segment on our shows called the Talking Lead Jackwagon Train. And
Right.
this is kind of our time to vent and get the the evil out of our bodies. We try to keep this a positive show, but this is just our one way to vent. So,
Yep.
Gunny, bring that train in.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
We've got some jackwagons that we have to take care of, because I wasn't even going to do a show this week, but because of the jackwaggoniness that has been going on lately, I was like, Ton, I got to do a show. We got to do a show this week because I got to get this out of my system. I just got to get it out.
Yeah.
So, and Jim, you're in the area that was hit. Tennessee was hit a little bit. These big storms from Helene or whatever that
Sure.
storm was called has done some major damage, especially in North South Carolina. Just millions of people without power, without food, hundreds of people, and the death toll keeps climbing. I think we're over 200 now. People missing, children missing, pets missing, roads and towns just completely wiped out where it's just unrecognizable.
Sure.
Complete, total destruction. And, when this happens, people need help. They need assistance. They need supplies. They need food and water and, just your basic necessities. And amongst all this, these jack wagons that have nobody in mind or no thought in mind but themselves. There, 45,000 of these people that's control our supply chain had decided to go on strike during all this. Not only that, but our economy was already in shambles and on a decline, and people are suffering day in and day out just trying to get their basic food needs for their family met each and every week, struggling to be able to afford that. And these 45,000 workers, the longshoremen, what is it, the ILA union, decides to go on strike and further put a chokehold on America's economy, our people that are struggling just to make day-to-day work, where these people are averaging $81,000 a year already in salary. And they refused a 50% pay increase. And they're on day 3 of the strike, or day 4 now of the strike. And what I've been hearing is that just to make their point, they plan on doing this for like 2 to 3 more weeks at least, even if they get their wants met. So,
from what I understand, every day that they strike it puts them back 6 days in work total. So
yeah,
it takes 6
like
days.
every day it's a week behind.
Right.
So we're only 3 weeks behind. And if they decide to do this for 4 more weeks, that's going to put us 6 months, a whole nother year behind. And this is only going to increase prices even more for all of the goods and services that were already being fleeced for, because there's been no reason for this price increase over the past 8-10 months. Prices should have been coming down because supply chains have been flourishing, jobs have been increasing, and then these people, and especially their union leader, this
Harold Daggett,
this mob boss Harold Daggett, he's making over $900,000 a year.
Yeah, drives a Bentley
as a union boss, plus bonuses, plus whatever. This guy's riding around in a Bentley. He's got 2 or 3 yachts, and he has the audacity to come out and say the things that he's saying. He's basically, "Fuck you, America."
Well, he makes $728,000 in compensation for being the ILA. He makes another $173,000 as the president. He has a $2.4 million, 7,136 square foot house on a 10-acre lot in Sparta, New Jersey. Then he has another beach house in Highland Beach, Florida, worth $1.4 million. Then on top of his $728,000 annual compensation, and on top of the $173,000, he makes another $428,000 from other fellow union bosses.
Jesus.
So, and then he was bragging about how he has more yachts than Tesla CEO's Elon Musk. And then he's also bragging about how he brings in another $1.2 million on other business deals.
So I have no sympathy or empathy for these people whatsoever. I hope they all lose their jobs. I hope they hire all these illegal immigrants to come in and fill the gap while they're doing this jackwaggeriness. And
they're making
mob boss
$40 an hour right now.
Well, like I said, the average yearly income for these guys is $81,000 for the longshoremen. $81,000 is the average for these guys. So there's some that are making more. There's some probably making a little bit less. But I mean, that's ridiculous. And their whole beef is automation. They don't want They don't want to automate the port systems. So bringing in automation, robots to help efficiency. America has the least efficient port systems in the world, and it's due to the stranglehold that these unions have, these mob bosses have on that industry.
The dude's a terrorist. The dude is a domestic terrorist for what he said. He is nothing but a dirty fucking commie. The motherfucker is a communist. He is a domestic terrorist that is a piece of shit. The base rate for any employee that comes in, you just get hired and your job is to clean off whiteboards.
Yeah, you're cleaning the toilets.
$40 an hour. And if you go to the docks, it's not, oh, we work so hard. No, you don't. It is not a struggle, because I've been down there at these auctions and it is a fucking struggle to get you to cut a bolt or open a fucking container. You work for 15 minutes, you take a 2-hour break, you fucking piece of shit. Get off your lazy fucking ass and open the goddamn container. Unload the motherfucking thing. Oh, you moved a pallet and you need to take a 45-minute break, you fat piece of shit. Get off your fucking ass and burn a calorie.
As cars coming in and out of the port, they could automate the license plate reader. They could get automated license plate readers, but yet they still do everything by hand. So each car that comes in, they're sitting there writing it down, putting it on a piece of paper, pen and paper.
Dude.
You know, it's ridiculous, because they're actually presenting less jobs, because the more they can automate, the more it frees it up for people to be able to go and do more of the manual labor stuff that needs to be done.
Dude, it is the biggest fucking scam, the union scam that the ILA is doing. Oh, International Longshoremen. He got on and talked shit about every other union out there and how he wants to put every other union out of business, how he wants to bankrupt the United States.
This guy needs to be thrown in jail as a domestic terrorist, definitely, because this not only is just stopping the jobs there at the port, but it's a trickle down effect. So all these supplies and everything that get shipped out and go, I mean, truck drivers, they're out of work right now, because that's part of their job, is to load their trucks up and then drive them to the warehouses. The people in the warehouses, they're going to lose jobs, because they're not getting the supplies for the warehouses to get out. It's a trickle down effect. So you look, everything that's tied in, that's like the main vein for our supply chain is the port.
He gets on the internet drinking a bourbon with a big old gold chain and rings, talking about how he's gonna trash the Teamsters Union. He's gonna destroy the Teamsters Union. He's gonna destroy all the local.
This guy needs to be taken out.
He's going to destroy all the other unions, because if they don't bow down and give him his 77% pay increase, he's going to make sure that
$900,000, nearly $1 million a year that he's making already.
Yeah, and he's going to destroy everybody. And I'm like,
well, he's already destroying everybody. He is destroying everybody, and that's the problem. What I'm saying with this trickle down effect, it's not just those port jobs; it's everything tied into that, where people are going to lose their jobs. And then, not to mention the price increase that, we, the peasants here, are going to have to absorb again, because everything's going to go up even more. You think prices were bad now? Just wait a week from now. And supplies, toilet paper, you thought that toilet paper shortage was an issue back during COVID?
It's already happened here.
Yeah. Water, everything. People are going to start panic buying. It's going to be pandemonium, and this is exactly what the libtards want right now.
Dude, we need to send him to a third world country to survive. I want to send him with every piece of fucking jewelry he has and drop him off in some third world country and watch him get fucking mauled.
Yeah. This guy's going to end up a Hoffa.
Yep.
He's going to end up
build him into a stadium somewhere, please.
I'm sure. But yeah, I wanted to get that off my chest. So, I mean, that was the whole reason for this episode. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I feel better now. We'll catch y'all next week. No,
Jim.
so Jim, what do you got any opinions on this?
You know, I have I, the union has always been a conundrum for me for a long time, and of course, I grew up, in the hills and hollers of Northwest Alabama, and there was no union around us anywhere. Um, but I fully understand that the unions served a very specific purpose early on. It got rid of child, it helped child labor laws. It helped
There
with the
used to
wage
be a
gaps. It
time
helped with
when it was
conditions.
useful. Yeah.
Right. And not to say that, when there's no rules or regulations or anybody to force it, that's not to say that people won't take advantage. However, is when on the outside looking in, when I look at a structure of working class people who, in order to be hired at a job that they need, have are absolutely required
Necessity.
to pay into the union without any other hope or will or anything else.
Forced.
That forced, yeah, and it's not like, okay, I'll write you a check. It's debited from their account. It's debited from their payroll account, so they don't even see that money to start with. And they're like, well, we have this resort you can go to, or we have this pool you can go to, or they have this golf course you can play on, or we're fighting for you. One of the things that pisses me off more than anything else to hear any talking head talk about, I'm fighting for the little guy, I'm fighting for you.
Yeah.
No, the fuck you're not.
You're fighting.
Because if we're truly fighting for the working class America, we would fight absolute tooth and nail to put term limits on all the assholes that are in Washington, D.C. And we would absolutely, I mean, absolutely stronghold the lobby market. And I've got lobbyist friends. I got politician friends, and I know a lot of these guys or whatever else. And I purposely do not talk to them about this or whatever else because, you know, in our interaction, they're good people, but I don't appreciate what either one of them does on the outside world from what we do. But it is absolutely so. If you want to know my asshole of the week or month or year or forever, it is the vast majority of the politicians that have absolutely no will, purpose, rhyme, or reason to do anything else but enrich themselves. And that's what they've continued doing. So
Yep.
our youngest boy is into theater and things like that. And he was cast in a role in Megalopolis, which was Francis Ford Coppola's latest film.
Oh,
And
haven't-
so we went up to Atlanta and did the pre-screening for it or whatever else, and they had, so Francis Ford Coppola was up there, um, and he had a jackass sitting right next to him. I think his name was Dickhead De Niro or something like that.
oh my gosh, not that.
Um, yeah, and what a pompous jackass that guy is. I mean, he's acted his whole life and contributed little to absolutely nothing except to entertain the masses, but he's got a biggest mouth when it comes to it. But so anyway, so Francis Ford Coppola is explaining, this is his life's work. He's been working on this film for 40 years, um, writing it, rewriting it, trying to figure out how he wants it to look. But one of the things that Mr. Coppola was saying during that, and he was being very, very apolitical. I don't know where the guy stands on his politics, and I really don't give a damn where anybody stands on their politics. Because that's their thing. It doesn't matter to me. I know where I'm at, and that's all that matters. But he was being very apolitical, and he was like, "Look, essentially, we are absolutely in a."
Oh, look, the NSA cut him off.
Yeah, no shit.
The Biden administration just cut him off because he was getting ready to make the point of the century. Oh my gosh,
Or
he was on a roll. So, Ton, text him, see if he can see what's going on there. His wife may have cut him off.
Yeah, no shit.
But I've got, for those watching, the Megapolis pulled up on IMDb there. Never heard of this, but I'm sure Francis. I mean, he's part of that whole industry there, the film and TV industry. So, I mean, who knows? What's his son's name? Do you know? I want to see if he's in the credits here.
He's a minor, so I can't drop it.
Oh, I got you. He's probably not in the credits here. So, well, while we wait to get Jim back, ton. So that's our jack wagons right there.
No, I got to throw his wife under the bus, but I got to wait for him to be back on.
Well, we're gonna do that. We're not done with the jack wagon thing. But I'll go ahead and do a hero while we're waiting on him to come back. So kind of the opposite of that, with these storms and whatnot, the people that are out there donating their time, their money, their efforts, their skills to help those in need during this time. And, Sheepdog Impact Assistance. We've had them on the show, Sergeant Major Lance Nutt. They are constantly putting together disaster recovery teams to help these hard-hit areas. And they have put them together for Hurricane Helene. And if you guys want to donate your time, you want to donate your money, you actually want to go on one of these disaster recovery missions, then you can. You just go to their website. They've got a place there for you to donate. Whether, like I said, it's your time. If you actually want to go on one of these recovery missions, there's a little questionnaire there. You got to answer the questions, send it in. And they'll vet you. I mean, they don't just let anybody go on these missions. They vet you. But you can always donate your time. If you've got extra supplies, they've got a place for you to donate those too. So just go to sheepdogia.org and you can find out information there. Coop, our good buddy Coop, I know he's working with organizations also that are helping put together efforts to bring supplies to these hard-hit areas. And, Coop's my hero also, and those organizations that he's working with. Do you know the organizations right off, Ton? The name?
The Reason Outdoors.
Well, the Reason Outdoors, but he's also working with some other organizations.
No, that's what I was getting ready to look at, and Jim's backstage now.
Oh, okay. There he is. There you are. You're back. We lost you there.
See,
I mean, you were getting
that's
ready.
The kind of bullshit that happens when you talk shit about the lobbyists and the fucking politicians. You're talking about shadow ban. I got like helicopters flying around my house now.
I know. That's what we're like. He was getting ready to make the point of the century there, and the NSA cut him off. The sons of bitches.
Exactly. So, I mean, not to digress or whatever, but
no, continue because you didn't make you were getting ready to hit it, and then it just cut you off.
So, so Mr. Coppola's talking, and being very, like I said, very apolitical. And it's like, look, this is where we're at in our country. We have truly gotten to the point to where our, congressmen and senators, our politicians that are sitting in the coliseums of Rome, in Washington, D.C., are just throwing money at whatever to entertain all of us while they're building their wealth, they're building their power, and they care absolutely nothing about the American people. They care about getting a vote for next time so they can continue doing the insider trading bullshit, so they can continue to get lavish gifts and times and vacations and everything else that the lobbying class or the donors are going to give to them. And the only way... Yeah, well, the only way, for that to continue happening, like, you can't fix any problems, and it's, we're on a very firearms friendly show or whatever. So, look, honestly, people, do we really truly believe that they will ever do anything one way or the other about where we are with firearms in the United States? And what I mean by that is they will never be outright banned and they will never be outright free. Because if one side won over the other, there would be no way to fill the coffers anytime something happens and everybody says, ban the guns. And every time peaceful time something or something, 2A happens on a positive side, and they're like, see, that's why we need them. So it will never go away. Medicare price, we talk about medical prices or whatever else, and the insurance companies and all of this shit ties together, and we will always be charged more for the goods we need because somebody's paying the politicians to allow it to happen. And the politicians will always say they're fighting for us. If you'll remember what I talked about earlier, we're fighting for you, man. Fuck you, dude. You ain't fighting for nobody but your own bottom line. And you can't tell me that a career politician in most of them at this point, who get in on an early age. I mean, I guarantee you AOC will die in office because none of those idiots will do anything about getting her out. And she will have never done anything but be a barmaid her entire life. But then when she dies, she and whoever she ends up appointing marriage, getting told who she's going to marry to or whatever, they're going to be worth $500-600 million. And you don't do that as a
Oh my gosh.
Dude, busted
You lost me
again.
again. I don't know what the problem is there. So,
Well,
but
they're
there you
Are
are.
we back?
Keep losing
All
you,
right.
brother.
Yeah, no
Who's-
kidding.
who's
So,
calling you?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's anyway, long story short, on my shit list and have been for a long time is the quintessential politician, that will stand up there and tell
Maybe.
you exactly what you need to know every time. And they're just filling us all full of shit. So, guys, the only way to change this is for both sides of the aisle. Unfortunately, we only have a two-party system that will do anything, whatever. But if you want change, if you truly want change in our political climate, vote out the incumbents. It doesn't matter who the next guy is. It don't matter.
Make sure they don't get in again.
Make sure if they're in office this term, they're not in office next term.
Yeah.
We'll put term limits on ourselves. We are doing this to ourselves, and that's what's not being said.
Yeah.
Agree 100%.
So
So,
politicians, lobbyists, and jackasses.
there you go. So, Ton, I know you've got a jack wagon.
Yes, I do.
So, roll it.
Melissa Gilliland. You're on the train, Melissa.
Now, why is Melissa on the train?
Many reasons.
Why is sweet Melissa on there? Why would you do that to Melissa, Ton?
Because she is my AI friend, my artificial intelligence friend. I have known her longer than I've known Jim. And I've never met her in person. She's been to my house.
Absolutely.
How did you not meet her?
She's been to my house. She has purchased a dog from me. That dog you heard earlier in the background is Sparkle Farts.
Sparkle Farts.
That's Sparkle Farts. That is Cash and Lily's baby. That is now Jim's puppy.
Which is hilarious because the dad's name is Cash Jones, and that's our youngest son's name is Cash Jones.
That's funny.
So Sparkle Farts came from me. Melissa has been to my house, visited with my wife, known her forever and a day. Through the phone calls, everything. Been hunting, hung out with Jim all the time. But no, Melissa cannot. Every time I go to meet Melissa, visit with her, go to a trade show, gun show, she avoids me. Oh, there's Sparkle Farts. There's actual new name is Marley Rose, but that's Sparkle Farts. Hi, Sparkle Farts. What you doing, pupper butts? What you doing, Sparkle Farts?
He's a mess.
Plugs in.
She has
Why is she a jack wagon? You haven't got to watch. It sounds like she's a goddess to me so far.
no. She avoids me at all costs. She's made Jim get an iPhone. She doesn't show up to matches with air guns. She just she comes up with reasons not to hang out, and she makes Jim get stupid freaking iPhones.
Sounds like she's my hero.
Nope. She's a jackwagon. She's a jackwagon. She doesn't come and play. She doesn't hang out. She doesn't cause trouble. She's responsible. No,
Sounds like
she's
you're the
a
jackwagon, Ton.
No, she's putting a damper on her fun.
Right?
She is a killjoy.
Melissa is so loyal to the point to where even in different situations or whatever, if she feels like it's what she's supposed to do, like, for work, right? So Melissa is absolutely so dedicated and loyal to her work, regardless of what's said, how she's treated, what's happening behind the scenes, or anything that behind the curtain stuff going on, is she will continue to stay there because she feels obligated to. It's what she does. She gets paid to do that. That's what she's there to do, and will interrupt all the rest of her life to make sure that her obligations are taken care of first. So, and I'm not saying that she got a terrible work environment or whatever else, but I mean, there's been Melissa gets to work in the morning, and if you know Melissa truly, she's a little late every day, but Melissa regularly stays in the office an hour, hour and a half past time when it's supposed to come home. She regularly talks to people or emails people at home. We're trying to eat dinner or cook dinner or trying to do something, but she feels like she is like, well, these people needed this, and so I need to get this to them because they deserve an answer. Or when we're on vacation, I mean, when we're gone, whatever, she takes her laptop with her and wakes up in the morning, drinking her coffee. She's doing her emails, doing her phone calls, talking to people in the office, whatever else. And I'm like, Melissa, that will be here next week. Melissa, everybody else is gone. You are sacrificing all of this for, in the end, what? I mean, look, nobody lives there. Nobody on their deathbed says, man, I wish I had one more day to work. So
There she is.
yeah.
A little angry there. I don't know.
That's because Marley Rose didn't get her pup cup. Sparkle Farts goes to and gets her pup cup.
Sparkle
So,
heart.
but yeah, Melissa is an amazing woman. She is. God, I could never and ever ask for a better wife, partner, friend, than Melissa. She's got such a kind heart on her. She's
Now,
she's amazing.
She's been shooting computer also. Computer.
Dude,
Oh yeah, yeah.
is
She's one of the top females in the United States.
fucking scary.
Well, and in saying that, Melissa doesn't practice whatsoever. Melissa, in between matches, Melissa will shoot about 15, 20 rounds. And that is to make sure that her zero is good and to check speed. And then she goes to the next match. If she would spend an hour a week, just 1 hour a week dedicated to, doing positional work or, doing her dry fire drills or just shooting on a range, if she would train minimally, then there is not a person that could touch her in the United States.
No.
So I mean, she's legitimately that good. But
there's your mansplaining for the week.
She is, but she's still on my jackwagon list for not playing and hanging out. It's more out of
you're just jealous. You're bitter. Tons of bitter guy.
Yes, because she doesn't want to come out and play.
She just doesn't want to be. She just doesn't want to be around Ton because he smells.
I think you should get.
I'm not denying that at all.
The barista of Bang, Ton Jones. So what about you? You got any heroes? I was talking about a hero when you cut off the first time. I put Sheepdog Assistance, the work that they're doing, putting together the disaster recovery teams for these hard hit areas from Helene.
Right.
What about you, Jim? You got any heroes?
I've got a couple of people that I think need to be mentioned that will probably never be mentioned. So anytime, and there's kind of a twofold thing here. Specifically right now, because so many people are displaced, 1 million plus people still don't have power right now in the United States because of the storm. And some people's life will never, ever, for generationally, will not be the same. I mean, not just their life, but their children or grandchildren's life will be different just because of what happened. And so one of the awesome things is the grassroots efforts that keep going through, you're talking about mafias, the redneck mafia, when it was down in Louisiana, it was the Cajun Navy or whatever. But the individual good old boys and good and gals, that have the means and the abilities to be there and help and use their personal resources or whatever else. But in this country, we talk about eat the rich and their fair share, and they should do this. I have several friends in North Carolina. that are very well off that have helicopters, personal helicopters that they've worked through their business and they use it for that.
Yeah.
Have donated their, I mean, essentially them or the people who they have hired as pilots have donated all of their resources, like whatever is needed. Here's a company card. Here's the resources. Here's my personal, $3 million helicopter. Uh, Go help those people. And some of those guys,
Did you
regardless of
hear
whether
about
you
the
like them
guy
or not.
with the helicopter that they're arresting? He was actually going in and trying to help rescue people.
Right. Yeah. So let's persecute the people that are trying to help. And I fully understand that there's a lot of moving parts there, and the skies are, a very dangerous place, and the best intent isn't always the greatest, judgment. However, if let's coordinate these guys. They're willing to, not our taxpayer money, but their personal wealth. They're willing to put on the line. And look, some of these helicopters are $2,500, $3,000 an hour to fly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's real money on the airframe, in fuel and in maintenance costs and everything else. And they're paying the aviators to fly these things. So if there's, let's give the people the due diligence of appreciation. I mean, yeah, these guys are infinitely wealthy, and they're not going to be, their lives aren't going to be disrupted like everybody else's. But they're giving. You want to talk about giving your part? Let's put a three. Let's see anybody
So,
put their own personal $3 million helicopter
so
at
this guy,
3,000 plus
helicopter
dollars
pilot,
an hour.
yeah, threatened with arrest after flying rescue missions in North Carolina. South Carolina pilot who flew stranded Hurricane Helene victims in flood-ravaged North Carolina to safety claims he was told he would be arrested if he continued the rescue missions.
Yep.
Jordan Sideholm was flying victims out of the devastation over the weekend when local leaders told him there was a flight restriction on the area and that they would have to arrest him if he continued making flights. There were other victims as we were flying out, leaving the area. We spotted more than 300 to 400 yards of their location. People were waving for help as my son and I were leaving. After the storm wreaked havoc on the region, leaving hundreds of people stranded as complete roadways washed out. So, I mean, like you said, they're trying to arrest this guy for saving people's lives, where these guys are sitting around fiddling their thumbs trying to figure out how to get things organized. This guy's doing,
Yeah. The most,
he's like, fuck it, people are struggling, people are dying, let's do something. So he
look,
took
the whole push,
went
in government. One of the reasons why the government loves unions is, number one, the unions vote however they tell them to or want them to. But it's all part of the same employee. If I can get you in a union, you might as well be in a government job. And as long as we can get you all in a government job, then all of you are on the government tit, and that's where you're going to live. I want as many people. Look, if I'm trying to control the world, I want, as a supreme leader of the galaxy or the United States, I want you to be on welfare. I want you to be on subsidized housing. To, you know, I want you to use my cell phone. I want you to use my internet. I want you to have a job that works for me and does my purpose. Because at any time, if you get out of line, I can turn all that shit off. And then what are you going to do? You're going to come crawling back and you'll do
Well, who
anything
was
to
it
get
who
back.
said that when socialism takes over this country, it will do it under the guise of liberalism?
Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
There's a time and a place for Social Security. There's a time and a place for welfare. There's people that truly need help that can't help themselves in the moment. It shouldn't be a lifestyle. It shouldn't be generationally handed down how to do these things to stay on the government tit. Meanwhile, you're out doing whatever you want to do anyway when you're perfectly capable of having a job. And look, I'm not going to job shame anybody. I mean, if you don't want to work, that's fine. Don't work. But get off the tit for everybody else that is working too. If and do your thing. Take care of you. And it's like, the United States spends trillions. I mean, we talk about $500 million here, or $1 billion there, or $7 billion here. I mean, it adds up, and we pay trillions of dollars to all these countries all across the United States. And I don't know how everybody else grew up, but it was completely understood in my household that we took care of other people when we really didn't have the means to take care of other people, but we were always secure in ourselves. And if we were secure in ourselves in our household, then we can help anybody out. But how am I going to try to help when I need help myself without hurting us? And we're hurting as a country, and we talk about the poor across the world and how destitute Americans are, but on the backside of that, how many truly poor people in this country still have a phone, an internet, food, and a place to sleep? And if you don't have those things, it's probably because you've chosen not to.
Yeah.
Mental health in this country has ravished communities. It's ravished people. If anything, we should be talking about the mental health issues in the United States, and a lot of it's a self-deprecating thing. Is we've allowed ourselves to be put in this box or whatever, allowed ourselves to think that this is the way it is, this is the way it has to be, and instead of looking at things at face value, we need to start taking care of our people.
Well, we got to
And
do that. We got to do it with. We got to start with our young, because that's where they're indoctrinating them, and they're giving them these false idealisms of the socialist mindset,
sure.
and that's where we got to really bog down. But enough
Well,
of this bullshit politics. Let's move past, because
right.
we're going to take care of our listeners. And we're going to talk guns and firearms and having a good time now. So
Sure, man.
unless you got any more heroes, we're going to get this train out of here, and we're going to find out more about you, Jim, so our lead heads can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
All right. So, Gunny, get that train out of here. Ton, are you done with the jack wagons and heroes? Did you have?
Well, Jim is my hero. I gotta give Jim a little bit of love. Jim is a badass. I
man.
absolutely love Jim and Melissa. They're actually both on the hero train. Even though I give Missy a lot of shit, she is our little Jiminy Cricket conscience on the side. But don't tell her that. Do not, motherfucker, do not tell her that. I will take a shit on the hood of your truck. They are both absolutely amazing people. I've gotten the pleasure to go hunting and hang out with Jim quite a bit. Not Missy, because she hates fat people, but they are both on the hero train. Lead Force One.
There you go.
They are both absolutely amazing. And as we get into this, I can just watching Jim work with people, helping people get into the shooting 2A community. Like I've said on past episodes, there's people out there that will shit on new shooters, and there's people out there that'll help new shooters. Jim and Missy both help shooters and are a definite plus when it comes to the 2A community. So,
well, it sounds like you're trying to do a lot to bring back the precision rifle shooting as well by offering the Altus. What do you call your shooting competition?
So the where I put up the matches that I run down at Altus Shooting Solutions in Baker, Florida. It's an incredible hole in the wall. It's 214 acres roughly. They've got known distance ranges. They've got unknown distance ranges. They got carbine bays, pistol bays. They've got
it feels like a phenomenal
facility.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing down there.
Holy shit.
And they've got such a unique feel and vibe when you go down there. It's definitely a family feel when you walk in, and the guys have done a great job with the marketing aspect with it, and they're doing some contract work with some folks down there that are game changing humans, in our world, both domestically and overseas. So, but
what is the name? Does your competition have a name? Is it just the Altus PRS?
It's just the Altus Long Range Challenge is what we're calling the regular series.
Okay.
And then, so back in May, I think it was in May. So the Accuracy International match has been down there We're coming up on this next year. So next April or May, we haven't set a date for it yet. Will be the 10th anniversary of the Accuracy International match. And I ran it last year. That was the first year that I ran that 2-day match down there. But that match is so unique right now in the precision rifle world because I try very hard to bring in the interesting stages that we had, 12, 13 years ago when Melissa and I first got into the long range shooting. And we've tried to modernize some of it because some of the stuff we did made sense at the time for the technology and the kit and all the stuff that we had. But it's progressed a lot.
And he's gone.
And he's gone. It's
Beetlejuice.
I think did he like completely drop off this time?
No, he's still there.
Yeah. So for our viewing audience, I've got that range pulled up. It's the Altus ALTUS shooting range there, and I think it's his phone too, but his audio is.
Yeah, he's in the middle of Georgia that just got destroyed.
Yeah.
So getting service is touch and go.
This
as
place
it
is huge.
I went down there and shot with him last year. That is an absolutely phenomenal range. It is that range. I've been to a lot of ranges, and that range is.
I'm back.
We're just discussing how when I went down there to that range,
the Altus range,
it is everything and anything and everything you would want at a long range. The pistol bays are just amazing. The shoot houses. I got to watch Jim set up for this match. God, you can make it. The big plus side about Altus shooting range is you can make it for the novice shooter all the way to the expert marksman with just a few very easy minor changes, and something is there for every level of shooter.
It kind of looks like a place where the 3-letter alphabet and military people could go and train too. It's a ginormous facility there. Do they have like water features there too?
So there's some. Excuse me. There is some drainage ponds that are on the site, but they're very seasonal. It's one of the things I've asked for. It's one of the things I've asked for over and over and over again, just because I love water. To put a big pond, there's a lot of stuff you can do with it, but as far as having a water feature there specifically for shooting or something like that, there's not.
Yeah, there's a range here down south, going towards Alabama. I think it was called White Feather. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, I've heard of White Feather. I don't know if I've heard of that specific White Feather.
Range. It was really nice. I mean, it was big. They had like 2,000 yards you could go out and shoot to. The bays, really nice, pristine. But they had this giant pond, like you said, set up where they had a shooting platform in the water, and they had one of the stages where you could go there and you could shoot on that, and it was.
Well, shooting over water is a pretty unique thing too, because there's a lot of weird stuff that happens, and you really don't think about it until you shoot distance over water.
Yeah.
But just because of humidity changes and temperature changes over water and densities or whatever, water's pretty unique to shoot over. So that's kind of a neat thing.
The idea of bringing on and procuring the farm-to-table beef aspect was high on my list. Being a third-generation farmer, I really focused on the elements of how healthy my life was and needed to be, and I wanted to send that same message and bring that same value to the consumers that are outside. So Whiskey River Beef came to fruition at the beginning of 2023, and here we are today.
Go to whiskeyriverbeef.com today to order. Visit us on Instagram at Whiskey River Life and on Facebook at Whiskey River Beef LLC. Whiskey River Beef is a proud sponsor of the Talking Lead podcast and the Leadhead Brigade. Use the code TalkingLead10 for 10% off all orders.
So let's talk about your background real quick for our listeners who aren't familiar with Jim Gilliland. Like I said, you're a former Army Ranger, sniper. there's a certain incident that you have become, I would say, better known for. I'm not going to say famous, but
He's famous.
but yes, famous for when you served over in Iraq.
Yeah. So, all right. Here's 20 years and just a few in less than a minute. So,
Yeah.
um,
And he
born and
talks about
raised.
this on other podcasts. So if you want
Yeah.
detail, there's other shows you can go and get the
Yeah, if you
detail.
want the specific story, I'd definitely ask you to go somewhere. You go to one of the other places and look. Not that I don't want to do it again, but
No, no, and
it takes time. So,
there's no need to do that on here. Yeah, go ahead.
but I took so born and raised in North Alabama, a little town called Double Springs. Joined the army after high school. Of course, I did all hunting, fishing. I played all sports and everything else. Then in a band for a couple of years. Early on,
Banjo.
I actually played the tuba. I started out a clarinet and then went to the tuba. So yeah, and that's actually where I know my wife from. She was in the band as well.
Band geeks.
Yeah, I was in the band for 2 years in my seventh, eighth grade years, and then of course we had our high. Not to get off topic. So our schooling system in Winston County was Winston County Elementary School was kindergarten through sixth grade, and then Winston County High School was seventh through 12th. And so anyway, so seventh, eighth grade year, I was in a band. I did the marching band, the concert band for 2 years, and I started junior high football and baseball and track, and I did all of that stuff. But then after school, joined the army. Initially, I did basic AIT airborne school, and then the
What year was
Rangers.
this?
This was in '96. I joined the army March 21st, '96.
96. Okay.
Yep, and then. So after airborne school, I went to the Ranger Indoctrination Program, or RIP. It was a 3-week course. They evaluated you for service in Ranger regiments. Volunteered to do it. Made it through that. I went to Alpha Company 375, 3rd Ranger Battalion, which today is their 40th anniversary of their modern opening. 3rd Ranger Battalion has been around on and off through many different conflicts in the past, but they've been in continuous service, dedicating the actual 3rd Ranger Battalion under the 75th Ranger Regiment 40 years ago today. So that's when
Happy
they actually
anniversary to the 3rd.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool. So I started out in the Army as a mortar, and I spent my first 2 years in Ranger Battalion as a mortar and went to Ranger School. Got back from that. I went over to the sniper section with the inaugural Ranger sniper platoon. And what was so cool last night, so there was 18 was the original sniper platoon as a full M2E, and there were probably 12 of the 18 that were there, and 2 of the guys have been killed overseas, but and then a couple of guys we've just kind of lost. They've gotten away from us, and they're living their own lives wherever they're at now. But but the talent that came out of that, and it's one of the things we were talking about last night, and if we tried to talk about it, nobody would believe us. But the amount of legacy that all of us brought out of that sniper platoon, in the late '90s, is just it's amazing. I mean, we've had some, very very high end special operations guys that came out of it. We've had some guys that have gone into other government agency field work or whatever. We've had guys that that like myself went back into the big army, contributed there and did things there. But it's amazing, the power that came out of that very very small community just in one platoon in the army. But I got out of the sniper platoon, went back.
What would you attribute that to?
Your
instructors?
It was just man, I think it was just the perfect time and place for the right individuals. It was just, and we talked about that last night. There's no way that you could build that team the way it was. I mean, we were all good shooters. We were all good soldiers. We were all, very intelligent. And I was probably the dumbest one of all of them, and I probably shot back worse than all of them too. But but just amazing humans that gathered in that one spot. And we had some good leadership, and that was definitely a big part of it. But it was just the ability for each one of us to mind our part of the process and do the best that we could in the moment, and then carry that throughout the rest of our Army careers. But I left there and did my team leader time, and then on August the 1st of 2001, I got promoted to E6 to staff sergeant, and went to Charlie Company 375. And then, of course, a month and 11 days later, the 9/11 happens. And then very shortly after that, on October the 19th, Charlie Company with a Charlie Company Plus 375 jumped into Afghanistan. So a month and 19 days after I pinned staff sergeant and take over a squad, we're jumping into Afghanistan. So I did the first two deployments in Afghanistan with the 375, and then after that I went to the NCO Academy. I taught the staff. I taught E6 school at the time. Of course, it's been under many different names. It's called SLC now, but it was BNOC, the Basic Non-Commissioned Officer course. Then I was there for about 18 months, and I got a phone call from the 269 Sergeant Major that was on Kelly Hill in Fort Benning. Asked me if I'd come stand up a sniper section. They were doing a changeover of how they were fielding units over there. It's called the Combined Arms Battalions. And so I went over to 269, stood up a sniper section, did my version of selection there, selected the 9 guys that were going to work for me, or the 8 guys that were going to work for me. I was 9. Went overseas in 2005, spent a year in Iraq. And that's where my record shot was made.
Right.
But we were also, my sniper section was recognized as being the most successful sniper section in Iraq in 2005 by the Joint Chiefs Counter IED Task Force. Just did great work. And again, the personalities for me, my team selection is more about personalities and how we fit with each other. And could I trust you to be the right person at the right time, more so to how physically fit you were, or how well you shot, or whatever else? Because I can teach anybody how to shoot, and anybody can run. You run enough, you can get good at it, or and lift and whatever else. But it was a personality blend that was the biggest part of that contributed to our success in 2005. And then while I was still overseas, I got orders to to go to Dahlonega. I was went to the fifth RTB Ranger Training Battalion. I was a Ranger instructor in the Mountain Phase Ranger School for 3 years, and then after that, I went down to Savannah to the first Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division. Did my platoon sergeant time and a little bit of my first sergeant time down there. I came back to Fort Benning. I did a year of requirements, acquisitions work, and on Fort Benning, all the small arms stuff, everything from the individual pocket knife and bayonet all the way to the 50 cal Mark 19. So anything individual soldiers could touch or shoot on the firearms side was a requirement that we worked on, and all their ancillary products that came with those.
Right.
Finished up my first sergeant time. And then, long story short, ended up having 3 foot surgeries and a neck surgery. It kind of got put out to pasture.
Was that from jumping?
Yeah, just doing. Man, it's treating my body like a rental car for 18 years at that point. And
you
the last
glossed
thing
over this. You glossed over this one point. The shot.
Right. So my shot. So I have. So I finished up my career working for the infantry school, starting the rewrite. I did not finish the product, but I started the rewrite on the Army Marksmanship Manual and the Sniper Manual. So, but going back to the shot, so I am accredited for having the longest 308 kill in Iraq to date. So I took a single shot with an M24 rifle with a fixed 10 power Leopold Mark III Alpha scope at 1,250 meters, which is roughly 1,370 yards.
Is that a Remington What's
The
the
Remington, yeah, it's a base Remington 700 long action gun. Had a 40x Remington trigger. It had a HS Precision stock. It had Badger Ordnance rings and rails, and it had a Leopold M3 Alpha scope.
nice?
Yep.
Nice setup.
And we were shooting that year. We had the M118 LR, the nomenclature, but it was essentially a souped up version of the 175 gold medal match that Federal loads.
Okay. Now, do you guys get to choose your individual, the accessories and everything that went on that rifle, or is it just like you get what they kind of deal?
No, because like I said, I was conventional Army at this time. We called it Big Army,
Yeah.
but I was a conventional Army guy at this time, and pretty much, I mean, we got some leeways that we could and couldn't do. The mindset behind that is the Army's going to buy you what they're going to give you what the Army bought. And then you got to figure out if you wanted to do something like that, there's a command climate that's behind it. You've got to convince your chain of command, and every one of them's individual to that section or whatever, to allow you to change things for that. And then of course there's government regulations you can and cannot do as far as that goes too. But I mean, most of us at the time couldn't afford, in the mid 2000s, a really nice scope was anywhere from, $1,500 to $3,000, which
Yeah.
it's only slightly more expensive now. But and the thing too that most people don't understand, and across all military training, and whether it doesn't matter what branch or service you're in or how you're trained, but typically military shooters, um, especially big Army guys, only know what they've been taught or what the guy directly before them learned and was able to relay on to you. And I was fortunate to come from the Ranger Regiment and come from some guys that thought outside of the box, and I got to see and learn and do a lot of things that could help. But I mean, me as a staff sergeant with a wife and two kids at home, a mortgage and two cars, couldn't afford, to spend $2,000 on a better scope to put on my rifle. Um, with the understanding I may break it or destroy it or whatever else. Now I'm out of $2,000. The equipment we had worked just fine. There was better equipment, but at the time it was the pinnacle of what we had. So, and with enough use, and that's one of the things. It was a very, very lucky shot, and I will never ever attest that it wasn't a lot of luck. But on the other side of that, you make your own luck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the more we used our equipment, the more we trained on it, the better you know it. And it's always important to know what your equipment can do for you, but it's vastly, and I've said this over and over again, it's vastly more important to know what your equipment cannot do. Because if you don't know what your equipment's not capable of, then you're going to ask it to do something it's not capable of doing when you need it to do it. So, we did a lot of training on it. We spent a lot of time on it, and we tried to learn everything that we could and use it appropriately to its best advantage. And my sniper section in the 6 months that we were in Ramadi had right at or over 300 enemy KIA.
Oh wow.
So, and it was, I mean, and it is what it is. I mean, we single-handedly out of my guys, and I did have once we got into Ramadi, we had a contingent of Pennsylvania National Guard guys that were attached to us, and they helped out tremendously with us too for numbers and what they were capable of doing too, and they continued on after we left doing really good work too. But the group of us in general changed the fight in Ramadi. I mean, it was noticeable enough. We had guys. The Army sent people to us from different organizations, wanting to know what are you doing, how are you doing it, and how can we replicate this in other places. We had several advisors that came down from different parts of the Army, followed us around for a little bit, just learned kind of some of the techniques that we were using. And we were very, very successful at what we did. And a lot of that came from our chain of command that realized that, we were very professional. And I made it a very, very strict point to be completely professional the whole time that we were there. stateside and overseas. And they knew that we were not going to allow ourselves to be emotionally controlled, with our own thoughts and processes. We
Right.
knew what the left and right limits were. We knew what the absolute rules of engagement were. We did briefs on it all the time, very, very specific about how we talked about it. And, and I always said, it's like, we will always give the benefit of the doubt to the bad guy, just like, tie goes to the runner. The benefit went to the bad guys. And me specifically early on in Ramadi let the number 3 guy in Ramadi walk, just because I wasn't 100% sure that that's exactly like everything in my being
Got to be
says
so tough. Yeah.
you've got to kill this dude because he's a bad guy, and absolutely he's a bad guy. But I couldn't, in my heart of hearts, say absolutely that's who I think it is. And of course, let him go. And a day and a half later, when we finally came out of the site and got back to the rear, the first thing I did was went to our little flip page and flipped through in the S2 shop and looked through. And the third, after the second flip, the dude stared me in the face that I'd been watching for
Oh
40
my
minutes.
gosh, that's got to
So
be
I'm
so
like,
frustrating.
yeah, that was. So if I have one regret, it's not the shots that I took, it's the shots that I didn't take.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well, I mean, that's got that's part of it. Like you say, there are rules of engagement while you're over there, and
sure.
you use your better
Well,
judgment on.
it's what makes it civilized, and part of it should be civilized, but then again, you know,
But when they're
politicians get
not following
involved.
those rules, and you have to follow those rules,
Oh,
it makes it
sure.
tough. It
But
makes it
that's what makes us, morally superior, right?
tough.
It's because
Right.
we're not going to put women and kids in front of us to fight for. We put them behind us to protect
Yeah.
them.
Or use hospitals and schools for.
Well, specifically, the target that I took for that long shot was in a hospital. So he was in the Ramadi hospital, and typically it was, we couldn't go inside or shoot at mosque. We couldn't go inside and shoot, or any religious building, or hospitals or schools. And in my experience, the especially the the 2 different years that I spent in Iraq, was school bombings or using mosque as cash sites,
Yeah.
or hospitals to treat or manipulate or use as headquarters. And that was one of the things that we had to send, the local guys in there. Um, and that wasn't always advantageous to us. I mean, specifically speaking, um, when I was so we were in another place called Hib, which is just outside of Bakuba, Iraq. And me and my sniper section are doing a forward patrol for our whole battalion's doing essentially a cordon search of these fields, these big orange grove fields and structures. And we knew that they were using these as cache sites and teaching sites. And as we were pushing through, we kept finding these cache sites that had equipment in it or whatever else. We found classroom areas that were in the orange groves. But as we moved back across, we came to this big opening, and there was a large house in this field near Hib. And we just kept looking at it. It's like, all right, so we got to go. And we had a small contingency of Iraqi guys that were with us, Iraqi army guys that were behind us to help translate and do, kind of help us navigate their world. And so we got up to start moving, and these dudes are starting to get really freaked out. And they're like, absolutely not. You can't go there. It's like, well, it's in our route, and we're going to go and clear that house. It's like, you will absolutely not go. And it came this very tense standoff between us and the Iraqi army guys that we had with us, because we knew it was a known site of interest, or target of interest, or whatever, or area of interest, I guess. Anyway, long story short, they said, if you will just let us go in there, we'll tell you what we see, and then if whatever, you make your decision. And so they go knock on the door, and they're very freaked out over all of this, very, very freaked out over it. So anyway, after all of this, we end up skirting around the house. They went and talked to these people, whatever. Um, and so, long story short, I'm back home after that deployment. I mean, I'm home after that deployment, not very, very far after I got back in 2006, early 2006. There was, all over the place. Um, they killed Zarqawi, and they were showing the overhead, like the satellite photos and the drone footage of them blowing the building up that Zarqawi was in,
Right.
which was the leader of Al Qaeda. And it was that I pulled after I saw it, I knew exactly. As soon as I saw it, I knew exactly where it was, and I pulled my maps out that I had, my overhead images that we were using to navigate with, and it was 100% the house that we were about to go in. They call it the
Oh
Egyptian
my
house.
gosh.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Oh.
That's amazing. So the shot was 1,367 yards with a 308,
Yep.
basically 700 Remington. What was the optic? It was a Leupold.
A Leopold. Yep. Fixed 10 power Leopold. So the M3 Alpha. So, and it was a unique scope too. And I can kind of see why they did it, because you got to, everything in the military is to the least common denominator, and anybody has to be able to use it. But the scopes we were using were a fixed 10 power. So it was not a variable power. You couldn't go to 2 to 10 or whatever. Um, So fixed 10 power, it had a mil dot reticle in the scope. And then the top turret dialed, it was actually a BDC marked turret, but it dialed in 1 minute of angle increments. And then the windage dialed in half-minute angle increments. So, one of the things now that we go to the range or whatever we're shooting, and you know, we'll get mixed guys. Some guys have, most of the guys that are shooting matches now have mill reticles for reasons or whatever. But we still have plenty of minute of angle guys that are still shooting minute of angle scopes. But I'll go and I'm able to translate mill to minute, minute to mill, back and forth fairly closely. And I'm not perfect at it or whatever, but I can get it very, very close. And everybody, what are you doing? I was like, dude, my whole military shooting career was trying to figure out how many clicks I needed to dial on how many mills that I was looking at, or vice versa. So,
Dude,
Right.
so
he's a freaking savant. He's
I'm
a
an idiot. I don't know about the savant part.
dude.
So
I
how far off the optic did you have to hold? Because you had to. There's not
Sure.
enough in
So,
that scope, so you had
yeah,
to
well,
come
the
off.
scope topped out. The scope topped out at 1,000 yards, because the 308 cartridge in general is the reason why they say it's an 800-yard cartridge capable of 1,000 yards. Shooter dependent 1,000 yards is, and it doesn't matter what caliber you're shooting. The point, and we call it a point target engagement. So if you're shooting a point target, that's going to be within supersonic flight.
Yeah.
So whatever you're shooting, if you know when it transitions, goes subsonic or whatnot, transonic, when it starts going transonic, whatever that yard line is, that's what you're capable of. And then when you shoot past that, then you can still, it doesn't fall out of the sky. It doesn't get do all it just changes trajectory, because you're flying slower than the speed of sound. And modern centerfire rifle cartridges are made to fly faster than the speed of sound. So they're efficient when they're going fast, and then once they start slowing down, below the sound barrier, which roughly is 1,000 feet plus or minus the heat of the temperature of the day. I mean, that's not a perfect number, but it's a pretty damn close number. So if it's 86 degrees outside, the speed of sound is going to be somewhere around 1,086 feet per second. Um, so a 308 with a 24-inch barrel, like we were shooting with the loads that we were shooting on, typically would get you to 800 yards as a point target, and then anything past that, you had to get a little creative with. You just had to have shot the equipment enough to
Yeah.
understand what the change was going to be.
Got to use a little Kentucky.
Um, right, and so the shot that I took, I spun to shoot for 1,000, and then elevated, and I honestly don't remember now. I've said before that it was 3 mils. I've said it was 5 mils, but I really don't remember. I just remember holding quite a bit over the target, somewhere around 3 to 5 mils or whatever, and then giving it, a mil and a half or 2 mils of wind, and just taking a shot. And the idea was, for me, in my mind, it wasn't for me to shoot that guy. It was for me to get around close enough to him to get him to back off of the balcony that was on. Because what was happening is we had troops, we had our infantry guys doing a cordon search in front of us, and they were getting engaged. One of the guys got shot, and so there was a firefight going down there, and we were looking for targets of opportunity that was possibly we could take, for them in there to aid in their firefight.
Right.
And it just happened to be they had machine guns, 600 plus meters in front of us, which was half the distance between me and the target that I took. So they were much easier for them to hit that guy at 600 meters with a machine gun. It would be for me to take just 2 or 3 shots even with my bolt gun.
Mhm.
So, yep.
So there it is. So
There it is.
That's kind of Jim's claim to fame, guys. So for those who didn't know, now you know. And you went into great detail there. So there's no need to go to listen to the other podcast. You pretty much told it all right there. So
Yeah. I mean that's the high cliff note version of the story.
Yeah. And what year did you get out?
So I retired in 2016. So April the 1st of 2016 was my official retirement date.
Okay.
So I couldn't think of a better day to retire than April Fool's Day.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I also heard you talk about, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this too, but again, I'm not looking for criticism or anything like that.
Sure.
I did an episode a few episodes back. I had some executive protection specialists on the show, and
Sure.
we were kind of talking about the Trump assassination attempt and
Right.
kind of what they saw as flaws and whatnot. And we didn't really get into the sniper portion of that.
Sure.
From the Secret Service side. And I know that you talked about it on that guy's radio show that I was telling you about. And since then, there's been a lot more. Well, there hadn't been a lot more. I mean, they're really still trying to keep it, seems like under
Right.
wraps. But since then, has your analysis of that changed as far as the reaction and the performance? Because
Nope.
you're pretty spot on when you were talking about it then.
Right. Yeah. And I knew as soon as it happened, and like I said, I'm not as in the industry as I was several years ago or whatever, but I'm still a subject matter expert on the sniper world or whatever. And I knew that I would have, if nothing else, a bunch of friends of mine would start calling and asking me about it or whatever. So I got pretty diligent in, pulling up the satellite photos, trying to watch, the feed, see where, place the things on the ground that I could see or whatever. And so long story short, the one of the absolute first things that I figured out was the sniper team that's shown on the video was not the sniper team that took the return shot. And the best of my abilities, there was no way reasonably that they could see where that guy was shooting from. There's actually a tree or a set of trees that are in between them, those Secret Service guys that were on the stage right. I can't remember the orientation, compass wise or whatever, but they were on stage right. And that's one of the things you say, oh, they were ducking or they were whatever, they couldn't see. Well, they were trying to find the target. Shots had been fired. And that's why they were moving around, trying to shift their guns around. It wasn't they weren't ready. It's they're trying to react to, shots fired and find a target to return fire on. It was actually the other guys, the guys that are, and this is may or may not be exactly true too, because there was another report that came out that I somewhat followed, but the long story short, if either of those two sniper teams took that shot, it was absolutely the team that was on the left, and it would have been a bit further shot at about 140 or 150 yards or something like that. Yeah. So on the building behind the stage or whatever, that's where the two sniper teams were, and they were in in the hips of those roofs or whatever.
Right.
So, which, in the end, shooting off rooftops on angles or whatever, there's not really that big of an angle. So look, when something like that happens, absolute typical government conspiracy or anybody, they're going to cover their ass as soon as possible. And they're going to talk about things they weren't aware of, right? Because the director of the Secret Service at the time, the female, has never been on a rooftop with a sniper rifle operationally. And I'm not saying she's ever been on a rooftop when, during training or whatever else, probably not, because she's an administrator. She's not an operator. Yeah. So that was not, neither of those shots were overly hard shots, but it's real easy for a lot of people to criticize, returning fire when they've never actually returned fire. They've shot, but they've never returned fire, especially when your whole life's goal is to protect somebody that is being shot at right now in the moment. And you don't know if it's you don't know if it's who's actually getting shot at that point, because the cadence of the fire that you can hear on all the videos was the guy, the shooter, sounded like he took two, maybe three aim shots, and then let off a rapid succession of four or five more shots. And I don't I don't know how many shots were totally fired. I didn't get super forensic into it, whatever. But because even at that point, I'm speculating, because I'm not there. I don't have official video. I don't have I don't have all of that stuff. I'm just going off of what's publicly available, from the internet newscast. So. But at that point, crack, 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 and then it ends, right? So from first shot to the return fire that actually took the dude, that they killed the guy, was pretty damn amazing. I mean, the reaction time was incredible. I mean, somebody got on that dude really fast, cleaned their crosshair, and pulled the trigger. Which, good on them. That's what they trained to do, and that's what they did. And there was no hesitation there, as far as I could tell. The best trained guys in the world at a match, to go from a standing position to the prone, find their crosshair, and shoot within a 1-inch circle is about 6 seconds. And that's somebody that absolutely knows themselves, their equipment, and their what they're doing. To go from a standing position to a prone position, and I'm not saying those guys were standing, but I'm just saying, just to do that on a known target on a flat range in perfect conditions, it takes 6 seconds. So anything within 12 seconds of return fire is pretty phenomenal, as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
So,
but and then they get into all the the other things of this should have been covered, that should have been covered.
Oh, there was definitely, look, I don't care who we're talking to or why we're talking about it. There were loopholes, 100%. So, but here's,
failures, big failures.
But there's a lot more. There were absolutely failures, but there's a lot more into this too. And I know there were threats and things like that, and I'm sure they were looking into them. But even as Trump, as being a former president and a presumptive candidate at this point, like, he was not the Republican president, whatever, but the only thing that he had was an executive detail for a former president, which is somewhere between 6 and 18, 20 guys at any given regular time. And now they can ramp it up depending on threat levels or where they're going and things like that. But I mean, he's got the same number of people that Jimmy Carter at 100 years old has right now. Right. Well, he does now. He has more because he is the presumptive candidate, and they have upped his detail. But
and
that day,
obvious threat against his life now. And
right.
I heard some kind of rumors that there's like 6 kill teams or something that are in the country. What do you make of that?
There's no doubt in my mind there are nefarious actors all over the United States in sleeper cells. I mean, we've let we know 15 years ago, I know there were guys that were crossing the border that were Iranian, that were known Iranian special operations guys. They've left evidence for it. They've got photo evidence of it. And it's not just them. The Chinese have pulled people in. The Russians have pulled people. Like, every country that wants to be in here, that want to send somebody in completely unknown. It's too easy to do, right? Our southern border is very porous. And if they get, if they send 50 people and 3 of them get caught, so what? There's still 47 in the country. Yeah. So there's no doubt in my mind that are not nefarious cells that were in different places. And there's also training camps, known, training camp. But here's how you send.
Georgia, isn't there?
Well, there's here's how you sense like here's part of the problem I have with the media as well is how they sensationalize every topic that we talk about. You can't just tell the truth anymore. You can't just give facts. You have to sensationalize everything for ratings because you got to have, sponsorships and you got to have advertisement dollars and everything. You got to make money, right? So you have to sensationalize everything. And and one of the things that I've told some of my federal LE guys or whatever, it's like, when you guys are going to come to my house and raid me? They're like, haha, whatever. Why would we do that? And I'm like, no, I'm being dead serious. He said, let me give you an operations order for something. And I've got this big long list that I put on the board or whatever. We talked about, a radicalized version of the Constitution, a religious zealot, um, mass weapons and ammunition, training the local population, and all of this stuff. Hidden bunkers on the property. And as we talk about all this, they're like, yeah, I mean, that sounds like a target. I'm like, okay, well, let me tell you what that really means. What it really means is, I'm a radicalized version of Christianity. I'm a Christian, but I don't necessarily follow the letter of the law of the church or whatever. But I do have a cross tattooed on me.
Yeah.
So if I'm willing to put that on my body that way, that means I'm a radicalized version of Christianity, right? So I have a radicalized version of the Constitution. I believe that the Constitution is the absolute law of the land. And I think that, there's plenty of government overreaches on it, for whatever reasons, here, there, and otherwise, I can't say that I've stand and shouted from the rooftops or whatever, but I don't appreciate the way the government's run our everyday business. I don't appreciate the things that have happened, the way they handle their business. So there, I'm radicalized constitutionalist now.
Yeah.
At the time, our youngest boy was in the Cub Scouts, and I had kids over here, and we'd do all kind of fun activities. We'd teach them how to, do woodcraft and bushcraft, and we shot some with them for one of their shooting badges or whatever. We did all this stuff. So now I'm training a local youth militia, in all of this, and I've got a storm shelter. Melissa, one of the first things we did in the place we moved into, Melissa had a 10-foot by 10-foot underground storm shelter put in, and there's some water and some blankets, things like that. So now I have a provisioned underground bunker system in my place, and we've got the high ground.
Radical.
So yeah, and so I mean, how far do we want to sensationalize this? I say all that to go back to the point to where we know there are fundamental Islamic training camps, is what they're being called, all across the United States. There's some here in Georgia, some in Florida. But are we sensationalizing that because we don't like Muslims, or are we calling it what it is? And if that is truly what it is, then number one, why are we not doing anything about it? Number two, why don't we look at some of the, fundamental Christian training camps that are across the United States too? But it's whatever sells media is how they're going to tell you the story, or whatever fits the moment in history of how they want to tell the story. So we need to peel back the onion on all of the information that we're receiving.
I agree 100%. Let's do this. I know you've got a short amount of time here. I want to get to listener questions.
Sure.
I want to go to listener questions, and that that'll kind of.
So if you want, I've got them pulled up, and I can shotgun through these pretty quick.
Okay, that sounds good. But what I was going to say,
listen, I've got time. Whatever time you guys need, it's not that big a deal. So, but let me go.
Good. Let's take a pee break because I got to pee.
Okay.
I'm going to pee, and if y'all need to pee, and then we'll come right back, and then we'll hit the listener questions. Does that sound good?
All right. We'll take time out.
Go give Melissa a kiss.
The Kel-Tec Sub 2000 is a name and firearm platform synonymous with innovation. This year, we're looking forward to welcoming even more to the fold with a twist. The new Sub 2003 takes Kel-Tec's iconic folding carbine to the next level. By allowing you to leave a fixed optic, lights, sights, or other accessories on the firearm even when it's folded away. To fold the carbine for storage, press down on the trigger guard while pulling back on the end. Rotate or twist the forend until a side slot on the leading end snaps into the retention latch on the buttstock. To unfold the carbine into the firing position, press the latch release button on the end of the buttstock and pull the forend up and away, while rotating or twisting it until the forend engages with an audible snap into the back half of the carbine. Compact and ready for use, the Sub 2003 weighs in unloaded at 4.2 pounds, with a compact folded length of 16.15 inches and an overall length of 30.45 inches when unfurled for use. From the backcountry to personal protection, this versatile go-anywhere tack driver is the perfect multi-purpose addition to any collection. Innovation, performance, Kel-Tec.
So, but the biggest thing we're not doing in America right now that we need to do is we need to talk to each other. And if it's the Bible toting middle-aged white man compared to the chartreuse hair, whoever they want to be, whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to talk to each other. You need to find your common ground, because there's common ground there. And not to, like I said, not to be crazy about this, because I know it's going to be labeled all kind of weird places all over, but if there's any common enemy to freedom in America, it's our government. It's not us. I'm not keeping you from marrying who you want to marry, and you're not keeping me from carrying my guns from where I want to carry them. It's the government that has put the regulations down and controls that. And until we come into common ground amongst ourselves and tell our leaders what they will and won't do for us, or how we're going to control that, then we're all going to be controlled.
Yeah, and that's a misnomenclature. Also, leaders. They are not leaders.
No, they're not. Yeah,
they are not leaders. They are figureheads that we put in power to do our will. Which
empower.
We have empowered them to impose our will, but they don't do that. They impose their own will. So, but before we get into the listener questions,
sure,
I wanted to feature this. So, Mission First Tactical Leadheads has come out with the chest rig. I think we kind of alluded to it, maybe talked a little bit about it in some previous episodes.
That's pretty badass.
It's really nice. It's got its own harness. I don't know if you see that back there or not. It's adjustable, and then you can hold all kinds of stuff in your chest rig. So it's got two side pockets. You can do your drinky drink, put your Mission First Tactical drinky drink in there. It's great for like monoculars. If you've got monoculars, they'll fit in there real good. Got a place for my sunglasses. I got my baton. So if I need to cap some kneecaps there, pop some kneecaps, I can do that.
Tanya Harding somebody.
You're out in the field. This is great for your binoculars. So your binos, it's a perfect storage place for that. And then, of course, what Mission First is known for with their bags is, a nice storage place for your pew-pew. So they've got that in there. And it comes with one of their multi-mount systems, too. So you can put your holster in there, and it fits in there great. And full-size guns fit in here as well. This is a 19-size firearm. Fits great. It's got the optic, got the light. It's comfortable, but it's got lots of pockets, admin pockets, so you can carry lots of stuff, carry your flashlights, and then it's got a little front pocket here also, right there. And then it's got the molly up front, so you can do other attachments on that. They also came out with their holster chest rig mount. So you can mount your holster on this separate and apart from this bag, and it's really nice too. I got one of those down here with the Glock on it. But just another carry option if you're out in the field.
I like that chest rig.
What's that?
I like that chest rig.
It's really nice. It's a super nice chest rig. I like the size of it. It's not oversized. It's perfect to when you're out in the field, you're hunting.
What colors that comes in.
You're just hiking. Right now, I think
it doesn't come in pink, so it doesn't matter to you.
Damn it!
I think we could probably dye it pink. You can always put stickers on there too, if you wanted to. But it's their Gray Man series, the Acro bag. So this is their Acro chest rig. It's supposed to be low profile. It's not supposed to stand out, just like their sling bags or backpacks. And the code works. Leadhead works. You get 20% off if you guys want to go and you want to order these. But it's a super nice new product that they have on the market. I wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that it was out and it is available now. So go check it out. And then, of course, Slide Fire is back, and they have been taking care of some of you lead heads on prizes. The bump stock people. You ever use the bump stock, Jim?
Nope.
I haven't either. So this is my first one. They sent me one here. They're really nice. And they've got other models. They had like a ton of different products out before the government went in and imposed their will against them. But they're back in operation, and they're going to slowly start bringing everything back and probably some new products too. But we're going to have them on the show coming up. Going to have Jeremiah, the owner, the creator of the bump stock, another veteran, former military guy that became entrepreneur. So just wanted to throw that out there before we got into our listener questions here. So let's jump into our listener questions. And you said you got them up. You don't need me to read them?
Yeah, I got to pull it up. You can put them up on screen too, so everybody can see them. In case they can't.
People can go to Instagram. If you want to see the questions, go to Instagram.
Yeah, that way, if you can't translate my Bamanese, right? So, Flood Munitions is the first one that's up. Says, could he outshoot Ton Jones official with an air gun? I'm going to say probably not. There's a lot of so we've dabbled in the air gun stuff. We're trying to get some time and effort where we can start coming to some of those matches too. They look so fun. And these are this is not your kid's BB gun. I mean, this is a legitimate.
Air guns are a whole nother level than when we.
Oh my gosh. I'm blown away because I really didn't. I knew there were some really good ones out there. I knew some guys were hunting with them, but until I actually used some of these things, from raw. For Rapid Air Works. I mean, God, these things are amazing, truly amazing. So, and I will come on the record and say, head to head right now on an air gun match, can I outshoot Ton? Probably not. There's some wind call challenges with that type of projectile. There's air regulation stuff that goes into it, knowing when you need to re-air. So I would say right now, no, I do not think that I could outshoot Ton Jones with an air gun unless I had 15 minutes to get ready for it, and then it probably wouldn't be anything.
Yeah, I don't know, 15 minutes.
Have you seen his eyes lately? I mean, Ton can't see shit. So
he knows.
Yeah,
he shot with me, and you should see this dude with a pistol. It's freaking
something
scary.
about a trouser snake spitting in his eye. I don't remember the whole story.
Put a brownie in front of him before he's getting ready to shoot.
So there's the first one. This next one from Richard G 412. What newer cartridge have him excited? I just finished the 6 arc build and love the results. So I had a lot to do with the 224 Valkyrie when it came out. Not in the engineering side of it, but I dove really, really deep into it when it first came out. Super excited about it. Great cartridge. But I will say, so the original cartridge design for this 224 Valkyrie was supposed to be a 6 Valkyrie. And then through production costs and marketing costs and just the overall cost of the original cartridge was going to go up quite a bit with the 6mm. So in the 224 caliber or the 223 caliber bullets performed within just a few percentage points as well. So they decided to go to the 224 with the understanding that later on we were going to try to do a 6 Valkyrie. But in saying that, the 6 arc is a legit cartridge. It is a wonderful, wonderful cartridge. Hornady made that. And listen, I'm saying that, and I am a brand ambassador for Federal Ammunition. It's the greatest ammunition in the world, and there's no. I will go head to head with anybody over that. Their quality.
I don't
control,
believe you. They need to send me some.
Right. Federal. There's a lot of reasons why I am with Federal ammunition. I shot their stuff well before there was a relationship there, and I will go toe to toe with anybody talking about that. But in saying that, the sixth Arc was made. It was a brainchild of the Hornady guys. Much smaller ammunition company. They're very agile. They've got some good engineers. They got some very good marketing. But the sixth Arc is a great cartridge, and especially in an AR platform, it is everything
How do you
for the
feel
most.
about the blackout?
The 300 blackout.
Well, the
So
300, but there's a new one out. Is it
the 6.8 or the 8.6, the 8.6 blackout.
8.6 blackout? Yeah.
So look, so I will preface all of our cartridge discussions at this point with saying that there's almost nothing new at this point.
Yeah.
It's been done somewhere else, and it's either slightly changed and repackaged or marketed differently, um, with very few exceptions. In the 30 Super Carry, again, a federal cartridge, but I'm not just saying that because of that. But that is a game-changing handgun caliber that needs way more attention. But in the 8.6 Blackout is a great cartridge that is pretty much a 338 Federal with a fast twist. So essentially, they changed the case dimensions a little bit. Put again, it's a 338 projectile, but they slowed it way down, and so instead of it being a standard hunting rifle cartridge, supersonic, they made it subsonic, changed the twist rate on it, and it is a powerhouse subsonic cartridge. Um, but again,
Okay. I
they
just
took
wanted to
an
get your opinion on it, what you thought about it.
took an existing cartridge, modified a little bit, changed the twist rate in the barrel, and made it so where it would stabilize at the speeds that it was going to go with the weights of the bullets they're going to go that they're shooting.
What's its
But
place in the market? I mean, what are people mainly going to be using this for? Short range hunting?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, 100% and short range hunting. So it's much easier to push a heavier bullet in a smaller package than it is a smaller bullet. So, which is kind of weird, right? It's kind of a
Yeah.
weird concept, but it's much easier on the ballistic side to push and maintain more with a heavier bullet, with the same cartridge case size than it is to do a slower bullet and get it right.
Welcome to the air gun world.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I can't say there is a huge just like a 300 blackout. I mean, there's a niche market for it, and the 8.6 is definitely a very niche market. But the kinetic energy you get out of the heavier bullet at the same speed, which is key to what I'm trying to say, the heavier bullet at the same speed as a 300 blackout, so it makes it a very devastating cartridge. But it also fills a super niche void that was out there. But it is what it is. It's a great, like I said, it's a great cartridge.
Hey, remember you mentioned the 30 Super.
Yes.
I had Avidity Arms on a few episodes back, and Rob, they came out with their PD10, and they've got a 30 Super.
Yes, I've got one. I've got a 30 Super Carry. So,
okay.
And it's a great gun. It's an awesome gun. Very slim. It is down the road of exactly what the 30 Super Carry shines at. And one of the things I said over and over and over again about the 30 Super Carry is, when it came out, once again, the internet sucks so bad. Dudes on the internet have absolutely no idea what goes into. They think these willy-nilly ideas come out and these cartridge companies make this stuff, and there's a lot of market research that goes into it. So specifically 30 Super Carry, the questions that were coming in is, how do I get a smaller gun with more ammunition and the same firepower as a Glock 19, but in something half the size? Well, you can't do that with any known cartridges. And that's why Federal made the 30 Super Carry, because it's a thinner cartridge. It fires a 303 size bullet, so essentially it's almost a 32 caliber. But at a 100 grain bullet going 1,450 feet per second with a standard load and 100 grain HST, it performs with a 124 HST out of a 9 mil, a standard, not the plus P. I mean, but at 1,450 feet per second with a 100 grain HST, it performs with the 124 grain HST 9 millimeter. Now, the upside to that is you have less recoil. You have a faster bullet, and in the kinetic energy world, you get kinetic energy. It's speed, mass times speed squared. So the speed matters twice as much, ideally, as what the weight of the bullet is. Right? Everybody wants to talk about the 45 and how it's a big old hole or whatever else, but a 45 ACP will never have a secondary wound channel. Most pistol calibers will never have a secondary wound channel. They don't move fast enough to push meat out of the way, to separate sinews. But I absolutely can tell you at the average engagement ranges of pistol targets with a 30 super carry, there will be some secondary wound channels because it goes faster than the speed of sound. You get a pressure wave with it.
I've witnessed it from him offhand, about 60 yards.
How would
Yeah.
that perform in a carbine?
Man, I'm waiting on bated breath for somebody to make a carbine in it. I think it.
Come on, Kel-Tec. I bet High
Yeah.
Point comes out with one.
So there's several companies that I know. Yeah, High Point came out with one.
No, I bet they will. I don't know if they did, but I'm sure they.
No, they did. High Point
Oh,
had
they
a
did?
30 super carry. So the problem is that, man, there's so many major manufacturers that they're sitting back. I can tell you 5 major manufacturers of handguns, very known entities, the ones that everybody carries right now, that have working versions of a 30 super carry, but will not release them because they want to see where the market goes.
Yeah.
Well, the market ain't ever going to go anywhere if you don't release guns in it. If a customer cannot find the gun they want in the caliber they want it in, they're not
If you
going to
don't
buy
have the delivery tool, then it's not gonna.
yeah. So,
Well,
Sig,
kudos to
Glock,
Avidity for
Springfield, you guys get on, release them.
Yeah.
Customer base, if you're interested in it, and I'm telling you, if you read the performance factors of what the 30 super carry can give you, you're going to want that in your next carry gun.
Yeah.
Sig, Glock, Springfield, call them.
Get on it.
Tell
I've
them
seen
Jim
that
Gilliland
thing
sent
can
you.
I
Don't
saw
don't
what that
put
gun
federal
can
don't
do.
put federal in that, but tell them Jim Gilliland said get off their ass. So,
All right, next question.
All right, lights out Okie Coyotes. Did you ever get to train much with loophole shooting through a loophole in a wall from concealed in a target? If so, can you go into detail on the preparation? No. Yes, I did. No, I won't. Not on it. Not here. It's not that hard. And if you are mathematical at all, or if you're practical in how your understanding of firearms is, it's not hard. It's really
There
not
are
a hard concept.
Courses
And you
and
can
classes
shoot.
you can take.
You can shoot through a half-inch hole with a 308 and hit a target at just about any distance you want to in a normal engagement area, if you know how to do it. But I'm not going to go into that. Like that, and you can boo-boo lit me. You can tell me I'm a government agent. You can tell me whatever else, but not everybody needs to drive, and not everybody needs to know how to do shit like that, because there's only a very specific reason why you need to know that information.
Jim, you also have a company. We haven't talked about it. Talk about your
Shadow 6
Yeah.
Solutions.
So my consulting company is Shadow 6 Consulting. And I do, I do training, I do marketing stuff, I do some advertising stuff with it. We do some quality control work with it. I've been in some factories and looked at their processes, and I'm not a mechanical engineer or anything like that. But I generally, if you need help with streamlining your processes, I can typically help with that, or I can get the right people in there to do it. So, but yeah, whether it's you want to learn how to do, pistol carbine work, home defense stuff, long range shooting, anything in the gun world or whatever, any of your shooting stuff, I can get you at a level you're comfortable with. So, if you've paid, if you've bought the governor's tag for a sheep and it costs you $150,000, my rates are pretty reasonable if you want to learn how to actually make that hunt happen. So, call me.
He actually was able to get me with my AK bolt action to hit, was it 1,000 yards on that IPSC?
Yeah, that's no small
Your
feat
AK
either.
bolt, you
Yeah,
dick.
7.62 bolt gun. Not a very efficient cartridge.
With Wolf
It's
ammo.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially you're shooting a 30-30 to 1,000 yards. That's kind of what we were dealing with.
What is your website?
Shadow6 .net. Yeah, shadow6.net.
I'm gonna
And I
pull
don't
it
know
up.
if it's up right now. I've been having some very weird technical stuff going on. We
No,
got hacked not too long ago, like a year ago. They got it. They took over my email stuff, all of my Outlook account, so everything got compromised, and we're slowly
still
trying to.
compromised. Still compromised. It's not working. It's not
All
up.
right, well,
Shadow6.net is not up.
Facebook.
okay. Well, you can email me at james@shadow6.net, and that still comes through.
There you go.
So
All
email
right.
us james@shadow6.net.
Next question.
The last part of that
Oh,
was
okay.
for that guy. Random question: Mill or MOA, fixed power or variable? What is your favorite optic and reticle? All right. So fixed. Question: Mill or minute? Yes, I have scopes on both. I use them for different things. There's reasons why you would want to pick one over the other. One of the common problems with that is, most of the military, all the military guys have gone to a mill-based reticle system, mill-based reticle and dial system, and it works very well for them for how they're using those guns. Almost all of the practical long-range competition guys are shooting mill-based stuff. There's a reason for that, but if you're a listen, and I'm going to stand on this hill too. If you're a law enforcement guy and you know that you will never take over a 200-yard shot, and most of them is going to be 50 yards and in. Um, if you're not using a very simple, if not a standard duplex reticle in a minute of angle, then we need to have a conversation. The minute of angle is a more precise dial, and you're talking about a lawyer standing behind every single cartridge. Every single time that you pull the trigger of your rifle, there's a lawyer behind that bullet. So precision is a big thing. And just because the Army guys use it, or the Marine Corps guys use it, or the the SEAL Team Delta Ranger recon guy uses it, whatever, doesn't mean it's right for your purpose. So there's a reason why people pick what they pick when they are educated on how they pick. So that's a different conversation we can have. The second part next was fixed power or variable. Almost every single optic I have is a variable powered. I was very successful with a fixed power scope, but it does limit you a lot on what you can and can't do. It specifically cuts you down on the field of view at the closer targets.
Yeah.
So anytime, specifically when I'm hunting or if I was out, operationally or whatever, with a 1-to-6, with a variable powered optic on my carbine, I lived on the low end, right? Especially when I go to the woods, I always make sure I'm on the lowest end because I want that biggest field of view. I can still take my shot, but I've got the biggest field of view and I can see. And when I need to take a technical shot, then I can roll it over and take a higher powered shot. So almost everything I use now is a variable powered scope. And then what is your favorite optic and reticle? So there's a lot of good options on the market for glass. There's a whole lot of good options out there.
Don't be
Water.
political.
Well, no, and I'm gonna give you my answer, but
Okay.
the biggest thing is finding what's right for you and your budget. And there's a lot of good options in that now. Me personally, all of my
Scopes
match
have
guns,
really become affordable nowadays.
they really have,
Good.
especially the technology that's in them.
Yeah.
All of my match guns and I guess my work guns would per se all have collis on them. Really, really enjoy the features and how they work. Reticles, I like a more simple reticle. I've used the Horus Vision stuff, and it definitely has a place. And the guys, the dot mill guys that are using those have trained rigorously on them can do some very serious work with them. But I like a more simple reticle, a very simple Christmas tree. I do like having some holds. So the skimmer 3, the skimmer 4, that's in the collis, and then some of the G reticles that are in the Bushnell scopes are very good too. And there's other ones out there. But specifically speaking, I like a broken center dot reticle. I like a reticle that has a dot and then has the crosshairs that come off of the out, off away from that. So not a center dot with reticles that touch it, but a center dot that is free floating with a reticle that comes close to it. Because it tells me exactly where my bullet's going to go. It gives me a spot that my bullet should travel to. So I really like a broken center dot reticle with some holdovers and holdoffs. All right, so moving on to the next one, 10-man 4X. Will the 6.5 Creedmoor or a ton of other sixes out there ever actually replace the 308? With the versatility of loading and volumes of institutional knowledge already known, I have some sixes but still shoot and load the 308. I will never tell anybody to get outside of a 308. I mean, it's a great cartridge. My
I
everyday
love the
driver truck.
308.
Oh, absolutely. 308 is a great
I
cartridge.
love the
Great cartridge. And it is absolutely is the industry standard. Anytime somebody, wants to do accuracy testing or whatever else, there's a lot of reasons to go back to the 308, within a couple hundred yards. But I can tell you, there's a reason efficiency wise. So efficiency wise, there's a reason why we don't drive, a 57 Chevrolet or a 50 model Mercury anymore. There are sleeker, faster vehicles out there that we drive on a regular basis, and that's where the sixes and the 6.5 come in. I would say right now, the most versatile cartridge on the market is probably the 6.5 Creedmoor. I shoot a lot of 6.5 Creedmoor. I still use it in most of the matches that I shoot. I really, really like the 6.5 Creedmoor. Not necessarily that it replaces anything or whatever else, but it is a solid cartridge. Great bullet selections. I like in my 6.5 Creedmoors, I kind of settled in with the 130 Burger Hybrid. Really, really like that bullet. It has the weight that the 6.5 has, so you still get a little bit of weight to it, but it's light enough that it goes fast. So in my regular 26-inch match gun, the federal gold medal match with this 130 Burger Hybrid is somewhere around 2960, 2980 regular speeds. So it doesn't push my gun all around from the recoil, but it's still flat enough to that I can still compete with the fast sixes as well. So I still shoot a lot of 308. I enjoy 308. It's more of a nostalgic thing for me now, but you can go anywhere in the whole planet and find a 308 cartridge. So, and you can go almost anywhere in the world and find a 6.5 now, but the 308 is everywhere. So there's no reason to upgrade it unless you're going to be specifically because you want to, right? But if you're going to shoot past 800 yards, the 8 to 1200 yard range, the 6.5 Creedmoor has a 308 hands down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It just
How do you
ballistically
feel about
outperforms.
the Grendel, the 6.5?
The Grendel's a great cartridge too. Especially when you're talking about an AR-15 style platform, which is where that cartridge shines more. Because a 6.5 Creedmoor, you have to have an AR-10 platform, but the 6.5 Grendel and the 6 Grendel, and even the 22 Grendel, you can use those in the standard AR-15. There is some bolt head issues that come along with some of those early on. I guess they're fixed now, but there was some bolt head issues with some of those before. But it's a great cartridge, man. It's 6.5 Grendel is a 900 to 1,000 yard cartridge too. It doesn't have the speed behind it that the Creedmoor has, but you have the weight and versatility, with AR-15 that goes there too. And again, it's how you're going to use that cartridge. So everybody wants to pick a cartridge, right? They want to pick a caliber to do the things, right? But if you're really truly honest with yourself, you'll do it in a reverse order. The way it should be is I want to shoot an elk at 700 yards. Okay, that's where you start. It's not I'm going to take this caliber and go do this thing. It's what do I want to do with it? So I want to shoot an elk at 700 yards. Then you need to know, what kinetic energy you need to properly dispatch that animal at 700 yards. You're talking, anywhere from 700 to 1,000-pound animal, or
Yeah.
5,000-pound animal, whatever, at 700 yards, and they're fairly tough animals. So now you need to figure out what size bullet at what speed do I need to have that energy on my target. And then once you got, so now if you know what weight and speed you need to shoot, now you can find what caliber will put that weight and speed bullet on target, right? So it should be a reverse process. Everybody's like, man, I want 300 Win Mag so I can go kill an elk. Well, why? Not, and I've killed elk with 300 Win Mag. It's 300 Win Mag is one of my favorite cartridges too.
Yeah.
If I can only ever have one, like if somebody said, look, you can only have one cartridge and it's the only cartridge you can hunt with, specifically hunting. If you could only have one cartridge to hunt with for the rest of your life anywhere on the planet, I'd probably pick a 300 Win Mag. Very, very versatile bullet selection on it. You can load it up, you can load it down, and it's a great, it's a great cartridge. But for hunting purposes specifically.
Sure.
So all right. So the sixes are great too. I've got several of the. I shoot a lot of. I shoot a bit of 6 Creedmoor. I really enjoy that. I like the 105s predominantly in it, but the 107s and 109s are really good in that too. And there's a reason why you're using that, over anything else. But right now, if I had to say the most versatile cartridge for everything, match shooting, plinking shooting, and hunting, the 6.5 Creedmoor would probably be it, with the 6.5 PRC being right behind it. If you're leaning more toward the hunting side, if you're leaning toward the match side, then you want to go Creedmoor for barrel life and things like that. But if you're specifically talking about hunting versatility, then the 6.5 PRC.
Now, Jim, what we do here is we reward our listeners with prizes that participate. So
Sure.
Everybody that participates is going to be eligible for our giveaways today, which we're going to give away a Mission First Tactical drinky drink. It'll be some random choosing of Mission First, whatever they send you.
Right.
And then we're going to send a packet of Seal 1 for all your gun cleaning lubrication needs, Seal 1 and done. You're going to get a package that includes this, the wipes. It's a whole kit. It's got the brush and everything with the Seal 1 and done. So, and Ton, are we going to do a pack of Firebird targets today, or the signal markers? What are we doing?
We can do a pack of the new moderated 65, the M65s that are being released next week.
Okay, we'll do that, and we'll let you talk about that after we get done with the question. So that's what's at stake. So for everyone who participated,
let me throw one in there for you too.
Oh, okay.
So specifically for the hunters, all right, because it's getting hunting season.
Yeah.
It depends on what caliber it is. I've got 6.5, 308, 300 Win Mag, and 6.5 PRC. I have 2 boxes of Federal Terminal Ascent that I'll throw into that too. But it has to be one of those calibers.
Okay. So and what the winners do is if when we get to the picking the winners, if we announce your name, you email me talkinglead@gmail.com, tell me what you won, and then specifically in Jim's case, which one of those calibers that you would like him to send you, and then we'll get that out. So go ahead with the question. I just wanted to.
So the next question was, what is the preferred long range cartridge? I think I pretty much covered that. And a regular everyday average shooting day, it would be a 6.5 Creedmoor. It's a great cartridge, and it performs 99% of everything that I could want it to perform in, to 1,000, 1,100 and in.
Which civilian cartridge round can you get the furthest distance out of? Could you just like physically shoot the furthest?
Wow.
Which one's going to
That would be like an ELR question, and that's not really my forte, but I would say, it's probably going to be in whatever number it is, it's going to start with a 4, probably. A 408 or a 416. is when you're specifically talking about just carrying it the furthest.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably going to be something like that, a 408 to 416. The 375 shy tag's really close in there. The 330, the 38XC or the 338XC would probably be a very
Yeah,
viable cartridge. But like I said, that's kind of out of my wheelhouse. I don't really
sure.
dabble in
Have you
the
heard of the
extended
Tejas?
longs. Yeah, so
You,
that would be another one. But
like a
it's probably
modified
going to be
sky tag?
somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So like I said, I've got people for that I can talk
that's
to.
okay. No, I would skip it. I just
Um,
if it was something you knew, great. Not
yeah, I just I don't really dabble into the 1500 plus world. So
yeah.
um, the next one is, what was the most difficult shot you have ever made? Would you like to be a regular ground troop stacking on a target location or a sniper on Overwatch? So, yeah, done both. I've stacked and I've done Overwatch. I really enjoy the sniper stuff. I think a lot of it's personality driven. Um, I enjoy, the close in movement, the adrenaline rush and all of that. But personality speaking, the sniper thing has always kind of been where I was at.
Yeah.
And I think is a very specific to be truly good at doing the sniper thing. It's a personality thing. You really have to have the right personality for it. A lot of guys can be really good at the assaulter stuff, but when it comes to long gun stuff, it's you got to want to do it and you got to be good at it. So if I had to pick one over the other always, I would probably do the Overwatch, the sniper thing. But I did.
You gotta have a
I
lot of
love.
patience for that too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, you could have you could have a 3 day long movie or whatever. Literally a 72-hour movie, and you may or may not actually get a shot out of that whole movie or not. So it'd just be a lot of laying around pissing on yourself.
He went
Yeah.
on a 3-day hunt with me in Louisiana and didn't drown me in the swamp, so he has patience.
Well, that's something that I heard you talk about on another show. Also, is the difference between a sniper or designated marksman or
Right.
sharpshooter. There's a difference in that in the roles that they play. And you were talking about how snipers are really, you're more observers.
Unique, yeah. The shooting part of the sniper world is actually the smallest part. It's the observer, the observation side, the reporting side, the radio traffic side. It's you're an intelligence asset that has a long range shooting capability. That's truly what you are. You're not a shooting assassin out there that happens to talk back to the back. I mean, you are out there for intelligence gathering purposes. In Overwatch, you're confirming or denying things on the objective. And that's another question that's coming up too, talking about that, with the age of the drones. But so we'll cover we'll cover that in a minute. The most difficult shot I've ever made, it's probably the best shot I ever made too, on overseas. Is I shot a guy at about 600 yards one time, through, it was a loophole shot on his side. So there was one little alleyway. It was between 550 and 600 yards, something like that. And they would run through this alleyway and they'd spray their AKs at our building that we're in or whatever, the OP Hotel, and they would kind of run off to the side or whatever. And by the time you recognized what was going on, they were already out of the way. I mean, you come in, dump a half mag or a mag or whatever, and by the time you can get your gun up and into that location, you're pretty much over at that point. So one of the patrols we did one night is we went over to that wall, and on each side we knocked out 3 or 4 bricks. Just took our hammers out there, 3 o'clock in the morning. We beat these, center blocks out or whatever, so we could see through the wall. And so anyway, long story short is, dude comes out, it's 4 or 5 weeks later. It was a while later. Guy comes back, shoots it up or whatever, and it kind of walks off to the side. And you can see them; they're all laughing, and cutting up, and giggling, and high fiving, and whatever else. And I'm like, let me see if I can do that. And it probably, more than likely, the cartridge went over the wall. It didn't go through that loophole. I was looking through the loophole with my sights, but the cartridge came over the top of the wall. and bean this dude right below the ear or whatever. So, and that was one of those things like, no fucking way. Look, the long shot was luck. That shot right there was vengeful for
It
that
was,
point.
it was deserved, I'm sure.
It was deserved. Yep.
Yeah, no doubt.
Cyclops videos. When is it? It's right now. You're missing it.
That's my boy.
Right. John Adams. Does the bolt action rifle still have a place in the modern sniper role? If you could only have one rifle, would it be semi-auto or bolt action? Okay, so there's two ways of train of thought, right? So there's always the coolest question we always, a lot of guys like to do is, if you could only have three guns, what would they be? Like, it's the only thing you could ever have for the rest of forever, ever, ever, ever. In modern times, and I'm gonna put this out there. If I could only ever pick one gun, like they said, you could only have one gun and you could never have another one. It has to be the one forever for you. What would you pick? I would pick probably a 14 and a half or a 16-inch AR-15 and with a 223 wild chamber. And I say that because within 300 yards, there's nothing in the whole world that I couldn't do with it.
Yeah.
I could feed myself with it. I could defend myself with it. All of it. I could do all of that with a good quality AR-15. With the right kind of optic on it or whatever. And the bullet selection is great on it too. And then you could have whatever you want to after that, right? So, as far as, is there a place for a bolt action rifle in the modern sniper world? I will say this: it takes a lot more discipline to shoot a gas gun as accurately as a bolt gun. Do they shoot just as accurate? Yes. The mechanically speaking, a gas gun can be just as accurate as the bolt action rifle. In the real world, especially when you're doing follow-up shots, you get very sloppy very fast with a gas gun because there's another round that you can send quickly, as opposed to understanding that you are going to get one, maybe two shots with a bolt gun, so you're going to take it a lot more serious typically. And I'm talking about typical shooting. I'm not talking about, infinitely trained guys or whatever. Is there a place on the battlefield for a bolt gun? Yes. But I would never want to fight with one. So when we were moving around in our sniper section in Ramadi, or the whole year, our bolt guns were slung and we all carried carbines to fight with, because I was never going to put one of my guys in a situation where they had 5 rounds in an internal magazine bolt gun and try to, fight their way out of anything with it.
Yeah.
So,
you ever played the game Fuck, Marry, Murder? Fuck, Marry, or Murder?
No.
You never play that? So, like, they give you like
Kiss, marry, kill.
Yes, something, kiss, marry, or kill.
Okay, I got the premise. Yeah, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I've never.
People, and would you kill this person? Would you marry this person, or would you?
Right.
Whatever. So that when he said that you were doing the guns there, I was thinking, okay, if you had an AK, you had an AR, or you had a 700 Remington, which one would you fuck?
I'd take the AR. Marry? 1,000 times out of 1, I'd take the AR.
Fuck, marry, or murder. So which one would you? You'd marry the AR. So which one would you fuck?
Definitely the bolt gun. Like, I'm not a big AK guy.
And then you kill the AK. Okay.
Yeah. So with enough time and patience with the bolt gun, I could get my AR back.
There you go. All right, I had to. That came
yeah,
right,
yeah, no worries. Has he ever shot off a sloped roof? If so, what's the difficulty level? Yes, not hard. What is a good caliber to get into long range shooting? 6.5 Creedmoor, hands down. If you're going to be somewhat serious in it and you think you're going to move forward other than just plinking, a 6.5 Creedmoor, but I would never discount a 308 because, they are absolute time tested standard 308. But if I had to buy a new one right now, it'd be a 6.5 Creedmoor for that. What is the most significant element?
Read their names. Read their names. Who's asking?
So that was Mustang Perry for that question, for the caliber question.
Okay.
J Black 2P, what was the most significant element concept in developing long range technique? Personality. Now, and so the right personality goes a long way with that. The hardest thing to learn is when. Everything else has a scientific, well, and there's a scientific thing with wind too, but there's a way to measure mechanically every single thing else very accurately, far as ballistic, internal, external, and terminal ballistics are all very, very scientifically measured. They're all but hard facts. But when it comes to reading the wind, even if you have a wind meter at you and at the target, there's a lot of things that could happen in between here and there. We know what the humidity is going to be. We know what the elevation is, the temperature is. We know all those things we can put in a calculation. But until you actually get out and shoot in the wind and learn how to purely read wind, not measure wind, but read wind, that's the hardest thing. The most time-consuming, hardest thing you can do is learn how to shoot in the wind. The next one is Pew Pew right now. What's the toughest animal he has hunted? That would be a springbuck in South Africa. Squirrely little dudes. And so there actually, I did a hunting show where we went to South Africa, and when we laid it out, and we hunted fairly regularly, specifically springbuck. And every time we would as soon as you locked eyes with them, you had about 6 seconds, 6 to 8 seconds to where they were going to figure you out or bolt. Or if they figured you out, they were going to bolt. So to find the group, to get close enough, on them or whatever in the high grass, to get the gun on them, to pick the one you wanted, to get ready to take the shot, they're moving. So I ended up taking my springbuck at 468 yards or something like that. Specifically because of that. We had stopped by a water cistern. We were hanging out, having a bite to eat for lunch. We saw a big herd of blessed buck, and right at the end of it were these springbuck we'd been looking for. And by the way, when you go to Africa, they don't like shooting over 100 yards. They don't like shooting 100 yards. They'd rather shoot 40 or 50 yards. But it's a new concept to most PHs for you to shoot over 100 yards.
Oh, wow.
And to convince them that I could take a 700-yard shot on a golden wildebeest was a task. But I had already I'd taken a ledge weight at 500. I'd taken that spring bucket 468. I took my two blessed bucks at over 300 yards. I did a standing offhand shot on a coyote, but they call them a jackal, blackback jackal. And that's probably what helped me out the most, that standing offhand shot, because that was the first one I took. And the dude's like, "Meh, that was luck." I'm like, yeah, that was luck.
Let me show you
So,
luck, buddy.
but so far, and now I've had a lot of exciting hunts. I mean, I've had some really cool, and I love. It's not about the kill. The hunt. Look, I've some of the most successful hunts I've ever had personally were hunts that I didn't kill anything. But it was just the rush of being there, being in position. It's combating this animal that all he wants to do is survive. He wants to wake up in the morning, eat, drink, procreate, and live. That's it. That's all. It's in their conscience or whatever, and to get away from danger. And so the hunt is all of it. The kill is whatever. That's what allows me to eat, right? But like I said, some of the most successful hunts that I like talking about or whatever are hunts that I didn't even take a shot on. Whether it was my fault or theirs, or it just decided not to, because it was I got out of it what I really truly wanted. The connection with nature and the understanding and whatever else. So it meant more to me to be in the moment than it did to take the shots. So I really enjoyed that too. So, but if I had to pick one, springbuck.
Especially when you go to Africa, man, it's the experience, just the environment.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Being amongst that environment. It's just really.
You mean you didn't enjoy your hunt in Louisiana in the swampy, hot July?
I died 3 times in Louisiana.
Louisiana. I died saying Louisiana. So.
Oh my God. It was 4 million degrees. It was a great time because of the people that were there. other than Ton. Um,
All
but
the other people.
that was that tough. Yeah, there's only one other dude. But that was that was that was arduous actually. Um, the stalking was very, very hard. Not that we really stalked very much or whatever, but just sitting out there, in the swamp waiting for an animal, and it's 100% humidity, and however 90 plus degrees or whatever. Um, you definitely drink more water than you would at any other moment in your life.
What's
Yeah,
been
I
your
dropped
favorite hunt? Your
8
most favorite
pounds.
hunt ever?
Man, that's hard to say. It really, really is hard to say because I've had
How about
some
most memorable? Would
mm,
that fall along the same category though?
one of the most memorable hunts I've been on was actually I was just there, and we had it was in Wyoming, and we were with a group of guys that were doing a hunt for a kid that had brain cancer. He was um, 17, 18 years old. He was between 16 and 18. I can't remember how old he was now. And I feel bad for that or whatever. Awesome kid, great
Yeah.
story, good folks. But we spent 2 or 3 days. Was it 2 days? I can't remember. It wasn't 3 days. It was either a whole solid day or 2 days, but I don't remember now. Searching for a mule deer for this kid, and we were driving out. We were leaving for the day, and just happened to look back up in a crevasse and saw several mule deer, and one really nice one. And getting him out, shooting with him ahead of time, getting his nerves calmed down, get him to understand the gun, understand ballistics, and then being there with him in the moment, and getting him calmed down, getting his heart rate back and his breathing correct. And he did I can't remember now, but it was right at a 300-yard shot, standing on a tripod, in a position in a place he's never shot like at or been before,
Yeah.
and put this animal down, his first shot or whatever, and see the elation with him and his dad and a bunch of his family were there. It was a great time. So
Oh yeah.
probably my most memorable best hunt was not even one that I was there specifically for me for. It was just
Sure.
to help out with them. That was a really,
Yeah, that's a
really,
good story.
yeah.
Now,
So,
I've had several other hunters on the show before, and I've asked, and more than one have said like prairie dog hunting is some of their funnest
oh, that's a lot of fun.
hunting that they've ever.
Melissa got me the first prairie dog hunt I ever really went on. Melissa got it for me for birthday or anniversary. I can't remember now, but she and I both went out there, and yeah, it was awesome. We had a great time. We
I've heard.
spent
I haven't been on one yet, but I really want
yeah,
to go.
it was with the Springer family. They own the Buffalo Butte Ranch in South Dakota, and what a great family! What a wonderful group of people they are. And they do a family style. So you go out there, and they got buildings or houses or rooms for you to stay in. And generally, there's 2 or 3 groups of folks from all over the place out there, and they get up in the morning and they cook this big family breakfast, and everybody sits in the tables and eats with each other, and talks and hangs out, and while you're eating or whatever, they get a vehicle ready that's got a shooting table, and all your stuff is all together. And then they essentially they take you out to the field. They show you the left and right limits. They pack a cooler with lunches and snacks and drinks and all this stuff. They set the cooler out. They set your table up. They got make sure you got everything you need to make sure you got cell phone service. And they say, okay, dinner's at 5:30. We'll see you then. And they let you have it, and you stay out there and shoot as long as you want to. And then when you get back, dinner's ready at 5:30. And again, it's a big family, home cooked family meal, and everybody sits down and talks about the day. And it was such a great experience for that too. But prairie dog hunting was a lot of fun, and you
Yeah.
can. You start off, you're being very technical, and you're dialing and you're reading wind, and you're doing all this cool stuff or whatever, and eventually it's just you're letting them have it. I mean,
Like whack-a-mole. It's like
oh yeah,
whack-a-mole.
you're playing whack-a-mole, and and you're holding over, and you're betting, you're making and yeah. So I think, well, and Melissa. So one of the cool things about it is the matriarch of the family or whatever had talked about this guy that every time somebody comes out and shoots a prairie dog and they tell, oh, this is the longest one we've killed on the farm, this other guy goes and will build a gun and go out there and beat it. And he's done that 3 or 4 times, whatever. So we're like, okay. And so they mentioned it too. It's like, if you can do that, if you can do something ridiculous, that'd be cool, you know? So we get out to this one and we asked, like, hey, where's the longest place that we can shoot out here? So anyway, we got out, got set up, and they dropped us off. And we ranged this little hillside just on the other side of this pond that was a mile. It was 760 yards. And there were prairie dogs playing on this little hill or whatever. Melissa takes 2 or 3 shots, kind of gets a sense of the wind or whatever, and then hits 3 prairie dogs in a row at a mile. So,
Nice.
and we've got it on video. You know, I'm videoing. You can, you know, and you can see the because everybody's like, oh, that wasn't really that far, but you can see when the gun shoots and the rattle of the phone, and then you can see the splash when it hits, and you can do the reverse timeline on it, and it was a mile shot, and she shot 3 in a row at a mile. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I had Jim Shockey on not too long ago, and I asked him that question. I can't remember. Tony, do you remember what he said was his like favorite hunt he'd ever been on? It was something weird that you wouldn't.
Yeah, and he was also telling about the story about the moose story that was one of his favorite hunts because he couldn't tell if it was like a chupacabra or something. It was a moose mating call that scared the crap out of him. That was one of his most memorable.
Yeah.
Where's Missy's arm?
She's packing in the back of the house.
Yeah,
right now.
she won't get on camera.
No. So next question is Nikolai. Not sure how to say that last. Aplamat. Yep. Close enough. On the modern battlefield, what is more important, cover or concealment? First part of the question. And I would say since the beginning of time in warfare, cover is always more important than concealment. Or at least you're always seeking cover. With cover, you cannot shoot through. It's a ballistic barrier. Concealment just hides your position. So you only take cover when you don't have, or you only take concealment when you don't have cover.
Like a brick wall that somebody's gone and knocked the bricks out of?
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Is that cover or concealment at that point?
Kind of a hybrid, but yeah, if you can't ballistically stop stuff, it's not true cover. I mean, you have to expose yourself to shoot anyway, right?
Right.
But you can minimally expose yourself. Second half is also what role do you see drones taking pertaining to the sniper role? Look, in modern warfare, the drone part of the sniper observer, all of that information gathering, it is absolutely taken over. And rightly so, is you don't have, so there will always be a time and a place for a human, right? No matter what, no matter where on the battlefield, you cannot own property unless you have a foot soldier there. The only way to do it is to put a human in that place. It's the only way you can truly own a spot. But with a huge portion of what we're doing now and what we're seeing is the drone markets, the drone warfare, electronic warfare is taking over a lot of the market space. Commanders don't want to put, soldiers, in excessive harm for risk assessment purposes to put, 2 or 3 guys out in a place where they can fly a drone over. And if they lose a drone, they lose, whatever, a couple $1,000. Who cares? But you don't want to lose soldiers. And so the drone warfare is taking a place. It will never truly replace the specific sniper role. But you can do so much more now with drones than you could in infinite past. So it's definitely taking a spot. So, yep. And we got Dixie 2809. What is the longest shot he has ever done? So, paper people, or target, so the longest I have ever shot was probably done in West Virginia with Ashbury Precision Ordnance. It was probably a little over 2,500 yards. We were shooting 370. Their Ashbury Precision Ordnance has a specific build for a 375 Chi-Tech. Great gun, loved it. We were shooting at 2,500 and a little further than that. I can't remember how far exactly we were shooting, but pretty
Shooting at
easy
steel
shot
target?
at steel target. Yeah, this is in yeah, hopefully in West Virginia. Um, but then operationally speaking, probably about 1,600 yards. We shot a couple of dudes with the Barretts at 1,600 yards. So operationally, that's about as far as I've shot.
I was going to ask if you had any experience with the Barretts, the 50 cals.
Making meat jelly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jelly.
yeah, we use them. We use them quite a bit for specific purposes. We, you
Sure.
know, shooting through walls
Tool.
or making loopholes in walls so we can see in different places, or
Making
destroying
Pollock
destroying
paintings behind brick walls.
painting some brick walls. Yeah, we did that a few times. There's the Quahita story. You guys are gonna have to have me on again to tell some of these stories,
Okay.
the Quahita story is a pretty
We'll
painting
save
story.
that for the next time, but that sounds good. So,
Right.
I've got a couple of questions, and we're going to wrap up our questions, and we'll
Sure.
wrap up the show and award some prizes. I've got a certain line of questions that I ask new guys. I'm not going to
Sure.
go through all of them, but there's a couple that I'm curious as to how you would answer them. So,
Absolutely.
if money were no object, you could buy or do anything that you wanted to do, what would you do? Laws be damned, money be damned.
Disappear. um, yeah, I don't really require very much, and it's one of the things that I just got a dirty look too.
I was
You
waiting
better
for
do
something to be thrown at
something.
you.
Right. I would very much enjoy having a place kind of in the hills or somewhere in the Snake River Valley in Idaho. Just very, very pretty place up there. And I'm sure there's other places in the United States, but that one kind of stuck pretty hard with me. Um, I'd, I'd like to have a nice cabin, and it doesn't have to be big, but a pretty nice house, cabin, whatever. I'd like to have water, whether it be a stream or a pond or a lake. Not ocean so much. I enjoy the water, not the beach. And I like to know that the kids were taken care of. So I
Yeah.
mean, other than that, like I said,
That's a
I'm
pretty standard
really
answer. Most people say, they say like an island. So it's,
sure.
it's typically a lot of land, a nice place,
Reasonable house, yeah,
reasonable house, and protection around it. Kind of is
yeah,
like, and I would fortify it. That's kind of everybody's standard kind of
yeah.
answer.
There's always space is time, right? So the more space you
Sure,
have, the more time you have. So, but
exactly.
yeah, like I said, I really I feel more often than not I was born about 200 years too late. So
Yeah, weren't we all?
yeah,
So the chupacabra, that Tone was talking about that Shockey answered. I had asked him this question. So, when it comes to aliens or like Bigfoot or anything, like, are you a believer in the supernatural or the alien life form? Have they
so I
visited?
think yes. Now, probably the reason why we've never seen aliens is because they've been here before and they realized we were an idiot, so they don't want to come back. But I mean, with the expanse of the universe, and listen, like I said, you know, I have my belief system, and I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, and I believe he's our Lord and Savior. Um, but with the expanse, we interpret the Bible our own way, right? And it has been interpreted that, and people tell us how we need to read it and whatnot. But
Yep.
with the expanse of the universe, it would be, and look, an alien can be a bug. It don't have to be an intelligent being, but there's no way that anybody can properly explain away from me that there's not something out there that's alive.
I
So
get that. Yeah, and I feel the same way. I think there's actually other intelligent beings out there.
there very well could be,
And
and
like
I
you, I think
wouldn't.
they visited the Earth many, many, many thousands of years ago, like you said. And they're like, these are a bunch of dumb apes. There's nothing
Sure.
for us here. Let's hit the road and back out. What about Bigfoot? Loch Ness monster, chupacabra, kind of stuff.
Bigfoot in a traditional stance that there's a 9 foot tall primate walking around. I'm not really sure on that one.
Yeah.
Bigfoot and the fact there's an animal out there that we don't know exists, 100%.
If
So
I were
even
to
if it's just a
organize a
small
hunt
animal.
for Bigfoot, would you go on it?
Nah, I wouldn't want to kill it.
Well, it's not necessary to kill it. It's
To find it?
No, I
Hell
wouldn't want
yeah.
to kill him either.
Dude,
No.
that's an adventure. Who wouldn't want to do an adventure?
Okay, perfect. All right, this will be my last question. We're going to wrap this up. If you could spend the day at the range, and I use the range just kind of as a metaphor.
Sure.
Who would you spend the day at the range with? And it could be any one person. It'd be a group of people. They could be dead. They could be fictional.
Wow.
And don't say Melissa, because we already know she's default.
She'd be there anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's
off camera.
an interesting one. Because I mean, you got to look there.
No, first thing comes to mind. This is who is it? Who is it? Who you thinking of right now? Because you got names. Spit them out.
This answer's so fucked up. Lee Harvey Oswald. I want to see if he can actually do it.
That's awesome. That was a great answer.
So I don't know why that kept screaming in my head. It's like, can you really do it?
Call him out. It's like bullshit. I'm calling you out, son.
Right.
That's a great answer. Nobody's ever gone that route before with this question. I
don't know why. It's the first thing that screamed in my head. Is like, show me.
It's designed for. Yeah. I like that. That's good. All right. Let's reward prizes now. So we're going to give away the Mission First Tactical. It's probably going to be a drinky drink. It might be a dump tray, but you're going to get something from Mission First Tactical. Might be their new chest rig. We'll see. I don't know. Let's just do kind of a random number generator there, and just like we probably got about 20 or so questions.
That's about it. He
put
up his finger and went and said 1 second.
Okay, we'll give him a minute. So we're going to wait for Jim.
Missy's probably beating him.
She's like, get off. You've been on here 3 hours. Let's go.
I'm going to whoop your ass.
Son.
And I know I'm going to get a text message later from my AI friend.
This is a perfect time for you to talk about the new targets, Ton.
Well, we have the signal marker. That's being released in the next couple weeks. That is, you put a 65 bio on the back, and it blows colored chalk everywhere. So we have the new signal markers, and then we also have the new 65. Let me show you this. Share screen. Bam. There, I'm sharing screen. This is going to be released probably next week. It's the 65 millimeter low noise. We designed them for suppressors and sound sensitive environments. It is a 65 millimeter target that produces 65 decibels of sound, but you still get all the smoke and flash, everything else, but not 140 decibels. So it is sound sensitive environments. So we'll be launching 2 products this month. One being our signal markers that come in, I believe we're at 7 or 8 different colors, including black chalk smoke. That is called cloaking black. It is for when shooting another level of competition. It kind of cloaks the rest of the targets for speed shooting competitions. It makes it...
Call it chemical fire smoke.
Yeah. Quite difficult.
Chemical fire smoke.
And Jim and I will be shooting the very first batch of the signal markers this weekend.
Okay. You said suppressors. I finally got this from Huxworks, Ton.
The Blasphemy.
Got the Blasphemy in.
Nice.
So I'm going to be checking that out the next couple of weeks.
I just posted a video with using that.
Oh, you did? Of yours? Well, cool. So
the day you got yours in, I had just posted a video.
There you go. So, and use the code TL15 at Firebird Targets, and you get 15% off all your purchases there. Oh, very good. So Jim's back. Jim is back.
Jim.
We call him James when Missy's mad at him.
Well, he had James. It right there. I was like, Pick a number between 1 and 20, or you just want to do a random number generator there, Ton?
I don't have the random generator up right now. Oh,
Pull it up. Unless there's like a specific question that you really liked.
what's your favorite question, Jim?
Jim, since you're giving away the ammo, we'll do the ammo for that.
Okay. Wow, specific question.
Mine don't count because I had the best questions.
So here's kind of a whatever, but what do you most desire in life?
What do
And
I?
that's the question. So that
No.
and
No,
you can
nobody
tell.
asked that on the comment. The people who ask you questions.
Oh, me personally for this,
Which was-
right? Oh,
Which was your favorite question?
oh,
We're not getting
what
all
do you most
philosophical.
desire in life? Yeah. You have to ask yourself that every once in a while.
Yeah.
My favorite question.
Of the ones you just read.
Okay, fair enough. Probably.
Or we can random number generate it. However.
No. Hold on. What's it called?
Okay. I don't want to put any pressure on you.
I do.
You got enough pressure, with Melissa in the house there. So
She's gonna whoop his ass.
So probably John Adams' question: does the bolt action rifle still have a place in the modern sniper role? And so that one, but it also bleeds into the bottom one where it talks about the drone. So it'd be one of those two. And I like those questions. Probably either one of those. We'll go with the bolt action question, but
up to you.
and I say that because it's thought provoking. It makes you. I enjoy questions that cause conversations.
Yeah.
And not just here's what I think, but so let's more of a let's think about that. Let's talk this through. I really enjoy those questions.
Perfect. So John Adams III, you win the ammo from Jim. So email me talkingled@gmail.com. Tell me what you want, and then the calibers again that he can choose from.
So I've got in terminal ascent. You'll get 40 rounds, 2 boxes of 20, in either 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, 308, 30-06, 300 Win Mag, or I actually have 28 Nosler also.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So there's your options. John Adams III. Again, email me. Tell me what you want, and then which one of those calibers you want. And, of course, going to need an address to send it.
Yep.
That would help.
I got the wheel pulled up. How many people send me, I want a prize. I was like, okay. What'd you win, and how am I supposed to get it to you? All right, random number generator for the Mission First Tactical swag prize.
All right. Do you want to share? I got the share screen set ready.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Wheel of Fortune.
Lucky number 13.
You're going to make me count. Gerard Link.
What was the question?
What was the most difficult shot you have ever made? Would you like to be a regular ground troop stacking on target location or a sniper on Overwatch? That was a good thought-provoking question too.
Yeah, that was a good question too, actually.
Yeah, there you go. So next prize is going to be the SEAL 1 complete gun care kit. SEAL 1 and done CLP for all your gun cleaning, lubrication needs. Also works on your crossbows, your vehicles, works on everything. It's good stuff. And it smells good. And 13 is not eligible, and whoever won the ammo. So if you're that number, we'll repick. So roll them bones, baby.
Roll Tide.
Go Vols. They suck this year.
Number 7.
Actually, they're doing pretty good. 7. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be Austin Whalen. Oh, wait. 7. Sorry, Austin. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Austin Whalen.
He's just Steve Harvey, that dude.
Oh, it's Austin. Has he ever shot off a sloped roof? If so, what is
Yes.
the level?
I was hoping that guy's question would win.
Good old Austin. Howdy, Austin. Appreciate the question there. You know the routine. Email me. Tell me what you won. And then now we got to do the Firebird target. Giveaway.
$14.
Richard G412. Richard G412. What newer cartridges have him excited? I just finished a 6 arc build and love the results. So that's Richard G412. And you answered that one already, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we will send him out a Firebird prize pack.
As long as they email me, talkingled@gmail.com.
And you don't live in California or New York City.
There you go.
Occupied
Stipulations.
territory.
So that does it. Appreciate everyone taking part in our listener questions this week. It was a short notice post, but I appreciate the participation that we did get. And keep listening, because if you didn't win this episode, you'll win the next one definitely. So Jim, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. Give everybody your Instagrams, websites that work.
Right.
How they get
Yeah, the two easiest ways to get a hold of me. And look, I don't stay on social media very often. It's a necessary evil.
Sure.
So be patient with me answering questions. I'll give Ton my logs in and make him go and remind me to do.
Him your social media manager. There you go.
Right. So on Facebook, it's Shadow 6. Shadow 6 Consulting. And then on Instagram, it is long_gunner. Is that one? And it has the picture has a little Shadow 6 logo.
Backwards.
The website, yeah. So the website doesn't work. But
we'll work on that.
But if you need to get a hold of me, you can easily get me at james@shadow6.net.
There you go. James@shadow6.net. I was going to pull up your Instagram. Here's your Instagram right here. You can actually just search his name too. Jim Gilliland.
Gilliland.
Yep.
Gilliland. And
I don't sell real estate. I don't make spiritual flutes, and I'm not the extraterrestrial guy. So,
but you may be now, because we know that you believe in aliens. So that's awesome.
That's right.
Next shooting competition that you got coming up.
So it will be, I can't remember the exact date, but it's the next one I'm putting on is a 1-day match at Alta Shooting Solutions in Baker, Florida. And it is in November. Hold on. November the 9th will be the next 1-day match at Alta Shooting Solutions.
Okay. And that's down in Florida. And
Baker, Florida.
Is it full? Can people still register for that?
Oh no. Yep. Come on. So
Okay.
you can go to the website, register for it, or you can if you just want to, you can show up the day of, and we'll have somebody out there that can take your information and your credit card and you can shoot. It'll be about 100. Expect about 100-round course of fire.
Okay. And they bring your own equipment, gear, all that stuff.
If you're super, super interested, and I can't do this for everybody, but if you're super interested and you get a hold of me in time beforehand and you don't have a gun or ammo, I can probably do 1 or 2 guys where I can furnish rifles and ammo.
Nice.
But first come, first serve, and I can only do like 2.
There you go. So get in there, get her done. Ton. Firebird targets. We just talked about the new 65 and the
signal
markers that are coming out. The different colors of those. You said black, blue.
Of course, we got the white, black, blue, pink, green, orange, yellow, red, purple, and I think that's it. We might have 1 or 2 others. I don't know. We got a bunch.
There you go.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch.
Is it purple or is it indigo?
It is purple. You
And
pirate
I'm
hooker.
sure I'll be coming down soon, and we're gonna do some Firebird Kablooey Club challenge.
Yep, we got to get you down in the next month or so, and maybe get Jim's ass to come over, and maybe bring that Melissa AI person.
Are you coming to come down for the Kablooey challenge? She said when.
November-ish.
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 So I can see that you do
She
exist.
said maybe-ish.
Oh, God. Why do you hate fat people?
I love that.
Can we see an arm to know that your AI arm exists?
Oh my God, let me put a hat on.
This is the infamous Missy.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna be famous. You're gonna be Insta famous.
She is the badass Missy Gilliland.
She's taking her dear sweet time too.
So the AK Corner coming up, also lead heads. This month's AK Corner, we're going to be talking how to accurize your AK-47. We got Joe
There's
Mo
Missy
there.
In
How
the
you doing?
flesh. And it's real. Like,
She does-
yeah, it's real.
Yeah, I swear I think she's AI because she refuses to meet me in person.
She's like Bigfoot. Does she exist? Does she exist?
Yes,
great.
I'm real.
She refuses to meet me in person.
That's it. Something always happens, man.
I mean, can you blame the woman, Ton? Come on.
I don't know.
You
I
can't.
think she just hates fat people.
I love fat people.
She just wants to
Love
hang out
me.
with my
Causes
wife.
our food
Yeah.
shortages from the supply chain. So
Bye.
Bye, Mizzy.
nice to meet you. Let's wrap it up, guys. That's it for this episode. Again, the AK Corner coming up. Make sure you tune in. How to accurize your AK-47. Got Joe Mo with Ackless Defense joining us for that episode. Maybe the guys from Dissident Arms. I haven't got a confirmation on them yet, but that's going to be a fun episode, and we're looking forward to that. And Ton, get that invitation out. We got to do. Jim and I got to come down for the Kablooey Challenge. We're looking forward to that.
I need to get you guys down here looking November.
So until the next episode, lead heads, as always, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer.
Baby.
She said she didn't like that thing.